What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
5SS. Chapter 76 Xia En has become stronger again. Bullet can't break the defense. Advertise here. Shiryu of the Rain, Dai Peng, the evil government king and other unknown big criminals who came to participate, although there is a distance from Blackbeard. But when the Motong light killing cannon exploded, the ground of the square exploded layer by layer. Under the bright light, it was impossible to see clearly before being repelled by the strong shock wave. At this moment, they understood why Blackbeard was so scared when he saw Xia En raised his hand. The power of this laser is simply not something they can handle. Of course, the impact of the explosion didn't hurt them, and each of them was armed with body armor, and they also withstood it while retreating again and again. The flames dissipated quickly, and only thick smoke and dust remained on the shaken ground. Xia En was not stingy either. Seeing Blackbeard's tragic situation, she glanced out of the corner of her eye and saw that the big criminals were safe and sound. She raised her hand and shot each of them. That's right, including people like Depen and those big criminals who dare to participate in Summit War. This time, the magic light cannon is not only fast, but also visually exaggerated. Like the rain of light beams falling from the sky, one shot after another, if one shot doesn't hit the ground, the other shot is already on the way. No one can dodge such an attack perfectly. You must know that Blackbeard, who ran ahead of time, was almost attacked. The first to be hit was the huge San Juan wolf. He was useless just now with the body of the giant and the inflated fruit, and now he has no chance. A beam of light penetrated his chest before he could react. Soon it was the fire that exploded when it hit the ground. Dai Peng hid quickly, but he was also pierced through the thigh, almost to the abdomen. Shiryu of the Rain wanted to block with the famous sword Thunderstorm in his hand, and pushed the blade forward sideways to block the path of the light beam, but it was not until the moment of contact that he realized how powerful is the Kufo Guangsheng cannon that Zhang En has at hand. Although the famous sword is tough, it has not been shot through, but the condensed explosive power explodes directly on the blade. The scorching, bursting energy tore his haki apart, like the power of a direct explosion in the chest. The internal organs of the impact would burst, and a large mouthful of blood was spit out, and it was swallowed by the light before people could see it. Immediately, it was thrown out like a cannonball, and life or death was unknown. The evil government king was pierced under the ribs, and was blown away within 2 steps. The other prisoners were even more miserable, and even some weak souls flew away on the spot. However, this is only the perspective that Xia En can clearly see. In the eyes of others, it was just a bombing, a fire coverage of the entire Blackbeard pirate group. In that area, the Marines and Admiral were far away, and there was constant rumble and tremors on the ground, as if there were repeated bombardments from powerful rockets. Until one shot at a time, no more, no less beams stopped. Xia En glanced indifferently, but didn't see that Blackbeard was still showing his head, so Tianzheng turned his head. But the others all looked blankly. The Marines knew that Xia En's arrival would change the situation of the battle, but they didn't expect such a fierce attack. Am I not dazzled? Xia En Vice Admiral will solve them. The group of Blackbeards who were clamoring to sink Marineford just now are all lying around like dead bodies, crooked, covered with bloodline and burning marks. Some of them were bloody on the outside, and were directly blown to death. The evil government king, San Juan Wolf and others who were barely covering their pierced wounds were all injured and fell to the ground. This is too fierce. This group of people, just now, were strong opponents that even the 3 admirals barely held back. In the blink of an eye, no one can stand up. Blackbeard has not moved even now. It wasn't just the Marine soldiers who were terrified and excited when they saw it. The forces, kingdoms, and people watching the live broadcast all over the world fell into a strange silence at this time. Eyes wide open, eyeballs trembling, unbelievable to the ultimate. After a few seconds, there was an uproar. Too powerful. No wonder Marine couldn't stop cheering when he saw him. You can knock those people from Blackbeard away. Is this the strength of Marine's new generation of heroes? Great. There is still hope. Marine can fight again. Immediately, some people cheered happily, their expressions were filled with excitement, and tears came out. The despair brought to them by the pirates just now was too terrifying. After seeing the hope, it was hard for the people not to be excited. At the scene, Whitebeard, Marco, Vista, Ace, Luffy and others also watched this exaggerated scene. Luffy's rubber mouth almost fell to the ground, and said in shock, "This is so cool." The laser beams fell and bombarded the area. This was the cool scene Luffy saw, but he didn't realize that every beam of Xia En's beams fell on the target precisely. Whitebeard, Marco and others frowned, looking at Xia En in shock. He seems stronger. Marco almost gnawed his back molars in disbelief. Xia En is a huge threat to the pirates, it is unbelievable that he has grown so scary. If you compare it with a few days ago, I think it's not a little bit stronger. Whitebeard was extremely dignified, the naginata in his hand was gripped even tighter, and there was even an urge to kill Xia En in his heart. Such a guy must be the hopeless enemy of children in the future. It's an exaggerated method. That's what Blackbeard said about the fat gun and the speed of Light Joe. After being silent for a while, Golden Lion let out a deep laugh, but there was no smile in his eyes at all. It's okay if you don't make a move, as soon as you make a move, you will know that Shaen can definitely threaten their existence, so don't underestimate them. The era has never lacked strong men, but this is the first time I have seen such a guy. The Red Earl glanced at Sengoku not far away, and exclaimed. He found that people like Sengoku and Garp were surprised and surprised. It seems that they didn't expect the young people flying in the sky to be so powerful. As everyone knows, Sengoku and others originally thought that Shaen would have the upper hand against Kaido, but at this moment, they have improved so much. It was easy to deal with the big criminals who ran out of Impel Down, and all of a sudden, there were fewer confidants and serious troubles. This single-handed beam of magical light-killing cannons really shocked the people present, even the audience before the live broadcast was shocked. Doflamingo Moria, these Shichibukai are even more wonderful expressions. But just when Shaen stopped and turned around. A loud laugh, excited, full of fighting spirit. This opponent is mine. Bullet is in a frantic fighting spirit and Chunin can't stand it anymore. Bullet yelled and shot. Everyone's eyes changed, and they all paid attention. The offensive just now came suddenly. In fact, the Red Earl, Golden Lion and even Whitebeard wanted to see Shaen's specific combat ability. Blackbeard, planed out of the gravel pit, looked up too, gnashing his teeth. On the contrary, Marines such as Sengoku, Garp, Kizaru, Aokiji, and Akainu did not do anything. If you don't fight melee, then we won't move either, and take the opportunity to recover our strength. After all, after a big battle, even Admiral was exhausted, and taking advantage of Bullet's challenge to Shaen to attract everyone's attention, he could take a breather. So the scene became the pirate's side and the marine side, looking tacitly at Bullet and attacking Shaen with his fists raised. Shaen was floating in the air, and Bullet jumped directly to the height. A pair of eyes with a fanatical fighting spirit, a large amount of armament haki covered the fist, and the emission form covered the arm from the fist. He knew that Shaen was very strong, so he simply did not try, and attacked from weak to strong, coming up with violent fists. Looking at Bullet indifferently, Shaen was very calm, and there was no slight fluctuation in Bullet's attack. Just when the fist hits and keeps approaching. Susanoo. Spelling words easily, the orange-red light shines on Bullet's face. Before he had time to react, Bart felt a bit of surprise in his heart. Then his fist hit the illusory, translucent orange-red light. It was as if he had hit an iron mountain, unable to shake it, and the reaction force returned. Bullet suddenly widened his eyes. With a bang, he flew upside down instead. I was bounced by my own power. And what is that? Why is it so strong that it cannot be shaken at all? Bullet knew how hard and how much haki he had put in, so he couldn't help but feel scared. Shaen was not at all surprised that Bullet could not break through the defense, and watched calmly as Bullet jumped up to attack and fell down again. Just kidding. When I came back, Kaido's mace was almost smoking, but he didn't smash Susanoo. The bullet without the Conqueror's entanglement is armament haki. No matter how strong it is, it can't break it. This is the move learned in Iron Body. 0. Seeking flowers. Blackbeard doesn't seem to be lying at all. This young man is very strong and very bloody. The pupils of Golden Lion and Red Earl shrank. They also didn't expect that such a powerful attack from Bullet fell on it, without even a single wave splashing. Moreover, Shaen's Susanoo, who has now opened the final form, is really surprising. This is an orange-red giant in armor. And Shaen is standing on the forehead of the illusory giant. Her gigantic body is bigger than the current San Juan wolf. The Marines on the square were all shocked. They swallowed their throats, and were completely speechless, leaving only a variety of surprises in their hearts. Whitebeard, Marco, Ace, Luffy and others looked at the appearance of the illusory giant in surprise, and Marco couldn't help but said, "Father, even this move has become stronger." In a short time, Ace was brought to Marineford. How long until today? How did this person cultivate and become stronger? There has never been such a perverted person in the whole world. Bullet, who fell down, also saw the whole picture of Susanoo in surprise, and Yuan's eyes widened. But he refused to admit defeat, and he, who was already full of fighting spirit, would not stop there. He turned around and landed firmly on the square, staring up at Shaen. Purple fluid is sold out of the body. This is the ability of the fusion fruit. You can conjure a suit of armor, so can I. Bullet didn't intend to play slowly from the beginning, and his shots were all kinds of ruthless moves. 0-0. The purple fluid rolled out like a wave, and all the inorganic objects that touched the building metal, the artillery emplacement, the broken warships in the square, and even many warships on the surrounding ice were covered by the purple fluid. Break down. Restore the basic form of inorganic matter, and then roll back to Bullet's body. Bullet. Seeing this, Garp immediately wanted to step forward to stop. But Sengoku still stretched out his hand to stop him, and whispered, "Let Shaen deal with it, and wait for a while to recover. The point is to take all the prisoners down, Fire Fist Eye. C has already been rescued, so there is no need for Marine to be in a hurry. Therefore, restoring physical strength and restoring morale is the most important thing." Bullet destroyed so many marine things, Sengoku could only bear it. He now trusts Shaen very much. The power of the combined fruit is not enough to deal with Shaen. Also like Sengoku's confidence in Shaen. Watching Bullet combine inorganic substances into a steel warrior to wrap himself, Shaen not only showed no fear, but watched with interest. This is the ability of combined fruits to form inorganic objects. It's amazing to put them in the city. Shaen knew that the world at that time was a city full of steel, and there were more choices of inorganic substances. But there are quite a few Marinefords that can be used by Bullet. In a short time, Bullet has formed a not small inorganic body. It's not the kind of indomitable giant, like a layer of steel armor on the body coat. This will not only increase his strength, but also make armament haki more powerful. But Shaen discovered that Bullet seemed to hide the transformed inorganic substances and only used some. Looking at the reckless man, in fact, everyone is a man with a plan. Bullet seems to be mad at the back. Do you want to kill them all like the Pirate Expo? With an inexplicable smile, Shaen looked at Bullet, who rushed over again. Wearing a layer of composite inorganic matter, Bullet's power became even more violent. With the same punch, the air pressure in front of the punch was much stronger. It's just that the power is far from enough to shake Shaen. There was another loud bang. This time it was Bullet's fit body hitting the indestructible Susanoo. Not only did the attack have no effect, but it caused Bullet to fly backwards for a long distance. Impossible. I'm not strong enough to cover him with a layer of inorganic matter. Bullet wondered if the quality of his combined fruit had deteriorated because he hadn't had a chance to use it for a long time. Shaen didn't reply, but instead smiled softly, making Bullet ashamed and angry. Boy, you can do it if you have the ability. The inorganic matter covered by him has the blessing of armed color, and it is also extremely strong. Apart from anything else, Shaen was really interested in testing the hardness of Bullet's armor, so the backhand shot was a magic light kill cannon. Beam burst. Having just seen the power, Bullet does not dare to underestimate the surge of more armed color blessings under the outer layer. Chapter 77. The world is shocked. Shaen fights all the old era alone. Advertise here. Seeing Shaen perform, finger pistol, everyone couldn't take their eyes off it. Watching Bullet bless more armament haki, Red Earl, Golden Lion and others did not feel wrong. That beam does have some power. Furthermore, Bullet's character will not easily dodge without trying to kill the magic gun. But when the magic gun came, Bullet's expression suddenly changed. The reinforced inorganic armor on the outer layer exploded when it came into contact with the light beam. The armament haki covering the inorganic matter did not resist for long and began to collapse. Bullet's pupils shrank, and he had no choice but to shoot with all his strength, bursting out more armament haki to resist the magic light killing cannon. In front of the blasted armor, you can see a huge surge of armament haki in fluid form, resisting in front of Bullet, and continuously contending with the magic light cannon. It's so strong. No wonder Blackbeard and the other prisoners had no power to fight back, and were directly knocked down. Only then did Bullet see the true power of the magic light cannon, and his heart was shocked. But soon, within a few seconds, under the astonished eyes of everyone, Bullet still couldn't resist the power of the magic gun. The armament haki of the superstar collapsed again, and at the same time, an intense scorching fire erupted. The remaining inorganic armor on his body was also shattered, and his body was pushed backwards by the fierce thrust. Fortunately, most of the power of this magical light-killing cannon had been consumed earlier, and Bullet was not as miserable as Depeng and the others. Sliding through the ground, crashing into the side wall of Marineford, crashing down in one piece. Dust was everywhere, and everyone was surprised. Bullet is next. Blackbeard gasped, unexpectedly blocking most of the power of Shaen's 320 attack. Sengoku, Garp, Golden Lion, Red Earl, and Whitebeard are no surprises. After all, Bullet is also a powerhouse who is infinitely close to the top, so it is not surprising that he can block the beam of Shaen's casual blow. But Bullet was very dissatisfied, and quickly came out of the ruins. Although he was not injured, he was obviously ashamed and angry, and at the same time he was very surprised in his heart. Looking up, Shaen still had that calm appearance. But Bullet cursed secretly in his heart. This guy is even more exaggerated than Roger. How could Marine have such a strong enemy? Although the body is not injured, Bullet knows how much force he used just now to resist most of the power, but he still couldn't hold back and flew backwards. In such a situation, it is a bit difficult. Just now Shaen launched a cluster beam bombardment. If so, Bullet doubts whether he can handle it. Shaen looked at Bullet indifferently, thinking that this guy was quite tolerant. I deliberately prepared so many inorganic substances but didn't use them all. Is it because I want to use them later? Forget it. Whatever he does, the system, I am participating in the war, right? What about rewards? The most important thing to care about is this, otherwise why did you run back? Unfortunately, there is no response from the system. Is it necessary to fight everyone once to count as participation? Shaen rolled her eyes, a little helpless. But at this time, the people below couldn't hold back anymore. Seeing how hard it was for Bullet to take Shaen's beam of light, especially the 2 consecutive attacks that failed to shake the Phantom Giant. Red Earl, Golden Lion, Waldo and others are all interested. This is the strength of Marine's genius. It's really amazing. There hasn't been such a monster in many years. Golden Lion Shiki soared into the air and came to a place parallel to Shaen. The Red Earl picked up a standard long knife from nowhere, and walked towards the phantom giant with his old body dangling. Mr. Sengoku. Seeing that these legends wanted to attack Xia En one after another, the three of Kizaru shouted hastily. If Marine doesn't move, those big pirates will target Xia En. Do not be nervous. Sengoku waved his hand to signal everyone to stay calm. He felt that Xia En would not be so easily restrained by Golden Lion and others. Compared with the worries of Kizaru and others, Xia En himself is even more arrogant. If you want to make a move, hurry up, otherwise you won't have a chance in a while. Clearly wanting to make a move but still moaning, Xia En looked at Golden Lion and said lightly. It's not different because this person is a legendary pirate. And now that Xia En is not in a hurry, he can play slowly, and take a look at how strong these guys who are famous in One Piece world are. Good boy, there are people out there, those who are too arrogant will die miserably. Golden Lion's face immediately sank. Although Xia En's performance is very strong, but this attitude is too arrogant. As a legendary pirate who had stood at the pinnacle in the old days, Golden Lion also had a good temper, and immediately burst into a powerful aura. With blonde hair dancing wildly, one can feel the superstar's aura rushing towards the famous sword that replaces the legs. Not enough. Quote. Xia En didn't care about the Golden Lion's angry attitude, and even ignored the momentum of preparing to attack. This made Golden Lion Shiki stare fiercely at Xia En, and immediately flew into the air. The long knife tied to the leg swings, and the graceful arc seems to draw a crack in the sky. Valley/wave. Sword chi. What stayed in the air was a shocking and terrifying sword energy. Huge, sharp, and as tall as Susanoo. Kizaru, Aokiji, and Akainu couldn't help shrinking their pupils when they saw it. Shiki came up with such a fierce move, which surprised many people. Obviously this is a real fire. What a powerful slash. Hawkeye looked up, and gave a very high evaluation of this sword energy. The world's #1 swordsman is more aware of the power of this slash. In the perspective of the people below, they are indeed extraordinary people. Golden Lion Shiki's Dewey/wave slowly slashes towards Susanoo. It looks very slow. But this does not confuse Xia En, in fact the speed of the slash is very fast. Also very huge. The slashing sword spirit is almost on the same level as Susanoo, just looking at it gives people a sense of ultimate oppression. Is this the power that the legendary pirate possesses? In front of the live broadcast, ordinary people were sweating profusely when they saw it, and their expressions were nervous and terrified. This is almost a scene that ordinary people will never see in a lifetime. But today I saw it in the live broadcast, which made countless people tremble. Can Xia En come next? Even the Marines on the square, including the 3 admirals, were worried, staring closely, feeling nervous. However, even with such exaggerated sword energy, Xia En doesn't fluctuate too much today. Didn't even control Susanoo to pick it up. Such a gigantic sword chi slashed past, making Golden Lion laugh out loud, as if seeing the shattering of Xia En's illusory body. But immediately after, the subsequent movement made Golden Lion unable to laugh anymore. Under everyone's attention, the giant sword energy approached Susanoo silently. Xia En seemed to be frightened, food didn't move. But when touching Susanoo, the real sword energy collided with the illusory giant. A terrifying impact of force forms a violent air pressure impact, which disperses in all directions. The violent impact storm shocked the pirates and marines below, and raised their hands to block the door. Where the two touched, sparks flew everywhere. Originally, Golden Lion still had some confidence to smash the illusory giant, but at this moment, his face changed drastically. I can't move. The actual slashing strike on Susanoo, apart from the movement caused, sparks splashed everywhere. Xia En was not shaken. On the contrary, the sword energy of Dewey/wave was constantly consuming. ZZZ. Haki's lightning overflows from the sword energy and explodes. But Golden Lion Shiki knew that his slash had no effect, and he couldn't even shake the position of the illusory giant. No, it's impossible. It's not that he felt ashamed because his attack didn't work, but that Golden Lion didn't expect Xia En's defense to be so strong. Can't be cut, can't be shaken. In desperation, Golden Lion hastily swung out more sword energy. Valley. A large amount of sword energy continuously burst out between his dancing legs, following the trajectory. One by one, it slashed on both sides of Susanoo. But the giant sword energy cannot cut. This method cannot shake Susanoo. The sword energy of Tianzheng was directly bounced by Susanoo, falling on the sea or flying high into the sky, as well as the back mountain of Marineford. It can be seen that the Golden Lion's slash is very powerful, but unfortunately this kind of attack is not enough. Xia En looked at it blankly, and was about to raise her head to fight back, but suddenly she turned her head and looked to the side. What he saw was blurred, and a red figure appeared. This is because the speed is too fast, resulting in visual deviation. This person is the Red Earl who picked up a standard long sword, Redfield. One generation is more powerful young people, try my trick. If Golden Lion Shiki's slash is light yellow, the frontal attack is very haki. Then the Red Earl's move is full of weirdness. Xia En frowned slightly, and saw that the Red Earl changed to Susanoo's head, which is where Xia En's forehead was. The long sword in his hand is covered by his haki, rendering it pure black, and also has an indescribable red glow. Sword tip thrust. It seems that all the power is gathered at one point. Worthy of being the Red Earl, a strong man who can single out against Kong. Xia En was slightly surprised. His offensive was more straightforward than others. Ding. This sound is not a system prompt. But when the tip of the sword touched Susanoo, there was a crisp sound. The Red Earl, who was originally confident, stared at him with an inconceivable expression. The sword in his hand couldn't penetrate Xia En's defense, and it was stronger than he expected. Even if this is an island, it won't be able to withstand my stab. The Red Earl finally understood why the Golden Lion's powerful slash could not shake Xia En. I also underestimated his defense. But the difference is that the Red Earl did not persevere like the Golden Lion. A powerful stab cannot be broken, and a simple dodge disappears in place, quickly opening the distance. Obviously, the temptation out of curiosity did not let Redfield use his full strength. It's really fast. Xia En had already raised her finger at this time, but the Red Earl's movements were strange and he disappeared very quickly. Hateful. Seeing his own sword energy being bounced away, and the giant sword energy that consumed a lot of physical strength also disappearing in the counterbalance with Xia En, Shiki couldn't help gnashing his teeth. Perhaps it was because of the continuous shots of Golden Lion and Red Earl that made everyone below a little eager to try. You two also have times when you are deflated. Wait. Ha 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 ha. World Destroyer Waldo laughed loudly. At the same time, he came in front of a cannon behind Marine. After knocking the surrounding Marines into the air, twist the muzzle and aim at Xia En above. 100 times the shells, let's have a good taste. 100 times. Valdo decisively uses the Momo fruit to increase the bombardment, and it is no longer covered with armament haki. With a bang, the cannon was ejected, and it continued to zoom in and zoom out during the flight. A black cannonball the size of a watermelon suddenly turned into a shooting star. With powerful kinetic energy and increased power, Valdo felt that even if Xia En couldn't be blown apart, it would still be injured by the shock wave of its explosion. However, what he didn't expect was that Xia En didn't even look back, and just patted her hand casually. Susanoo's huge body followed suit. With a wave of the huge body, Waldo's shells were directly sent flying by 4.9. In his stunned gaze, shells exploded on the sea in the distance, and thick smoke billowed. Waldo was ashamed and angry in his heart, and he never thought that Xia En would not even look back. Even dismissive of his attacks. However, at this time, both the Golden Lion and the Red Earl's attacks were blocked by Xia En's massive and powerful attack without moving. The Marine and the people on both sides of the pirates were already watching. Look shocked. Needless to say, the giant slash of the Golden Lion, the sharp edge of the Red Earl is shocking to watch. How did Xia En manage to make no waves? Most importantly, both of them failed to break Xia En's defense. Good job, Xia En Vice Admiral. The Marine soldiers waited for a while, and finally burst into cheers, cheering for Xia En. Doflamingo, Gecko Moria, Hancock and Hawkeye were extremely surprised. The offensive of those two old guys didn't shake him a bit. This is almost impossible. Hancock's eyes were full of shock. The attacks of the Golden Lion and the Red Earl can be seen to be completely stronger than Bullet's offensive, but even so, Xia En is still as stable as Mount Tai. Where is his defense limit? This kid. Sengoku and Garp were below. They said they were watching Xia En fight, but they were actually very nervous. Seeing Xia En's soaring defense power, they were shocked but also heaved a sigh of relief. At this time, Golden Lion and the Red Earl retreated together, their expressions already very serious. This kid's defense is simply exaggerated. Chapter 78 Unleash the Ultimate Intention, the Breath of God. Advertise here. Just when everyone was amazed at how strong Xia En's defense was. The angry Bullet couldn't bear it any longer, and with a bang, he stomped on the floor under his feet and flew towards him. The ability of the combined fruit involves the inorganic matter quickly covering the whole body, forming armor, and gathering a large amount of inorganic matter in the fist to inflate a bigger fist. The armament haki in the form of emission entangles, swings and smashes at Xia En. The eyes of Golden Lion and Red Earl were fixed, and they took this opportunity to leave almost at the same time. Lion Majesty. Water Roll. The sea water touched by the sword energy will be controlled by the Lion Fruit's ability. With the Golden Lion's hand, the sea water near Marineford is like a water dragon, smashing the ice and rushing out. Then the streams of sea water converged into one ball, looking like a lion, roaring and rushing towards Xia En's Susanoo. In the blink of an eye, the offensive resumed with such ferocity. Knowing the strength of the illusory giant, the Red Earl immediately took out sharper moves, pouring the ordinary long sword in his hand into haki and began to accumulate momentum. As a result, the Red Earl's horizontal knife was in midair, and a faint light appeared while staying in the air for a short time, like a ghost. Of course, Xia En will not stand still and be beaten passively. Bullet was the first rushed, with unconvinced energy. As a result, Xia En raised his finger, and a magic light cannon shot directly at Bullet's condensed fist. The distance between the two was only tens of meters, and there was no time to dodge at all. The magic gun directly shot through Bullet's combined fist, causing the inorganic matter to collapse directly. But this time, a sea beast swoops down on Susanoo's head. The open mouth was obviously intended to bite Susanoo's head, and the golden lion clasped his palms tightly, with fierce eyes, as if he really wanted to manipulate the lion formed by the seawater to bite off Susanoo's head, including the Xia En inside. Under the agglomeration of lion fruit, it can indeed exert a strong bite force. But when you really pounce on it, bang! Not only did it not bite Susanoo, but the lion condensed by the sea was destroyed by itself. Xia En remained silent, not in a hurry because of this, and continued with her plan, raising her finger to give Bullet a 06-shot magical light-killing cannon. As a result, a crescent slash went straight from behind Golden Lion to Susanoo's head. It's the Red Earl. This crescent slash exudes a luster like a bright moon, and anyone with a discerning eye can feel the sharpness on it. And the three attacked back and forth, aiming at Xia En on Susanoo's forehead. Not to mention sharp. Xia En, who originally wanted to use the magic light to kill the cannon, also frowned slightly. With his current strength, it can be seen that the Red Earl's slash is not easy. Even without using Conqueror's haki, you can already use such sharp swordsmanship. The legendary character is really scary. But in the next second, Susanoo started to move in Xia En's mind. With fists in hand, all of this is directed at the Red Earl. Squeak. Harsh scratching sound. Everyone was very uncomfortable hearing this sound like scratching glass, but everyone didn't want to miss any moment. Susanoo's fist collided with the Red Earl's crescent slash, and sparks burst out. It can be seen that Susanoo's fist was really broken by the chopping blow. Immediately, the crescent slash exploded, turning into a large piece of sword energy and sweeping towards all directions, some of which landed on Marineford, cutting out various traces on the ground. This is too hard. Blackbeard swallowed and said in disbelief. Who are they? Legend has it that they are all capable of competing with Roger, but with the addition of Bullet, the three of them took turns to attack without breaking Xia En's illusory defense. Marine, Shichibukai, Whitebeard pirates, everyone couldn't help being shocked, even Whitebeard couldn't take his eyes off and watched intently. The 2 rounds of attacks back and forth actually took place in a very short time, and the ensuing performances shocked everyone. If it were Marine Admiral, would they have been injured in the face of their attack? But after these 2 rounds, Xia En also knew that Susanoo's limit would be reached soon. After all, Hongfa and Kaido had tried it not long ago, and now they probably know the strength of Golden Lion, Red Earl and others. So when decisively destroying the crescent slash, Xia En raised a magic light killing cannon and went straight to the Golden Lion. The beam is bright, and its power cannot be underestimated. Golden Lion Shiki knows that Xia En's finger pistol is not easy to mess with, and flies away very quickly. The magic light cannon almost hit, but was still dodged by the Golden Lion. You know, there is still a layer of arrogance surrounding Xia En, which is the activated state of Kaiwanquan. The guy who reacts more quickly than the guys I met before, it seems that the guys above 4 emperors are not so easy to use. Xia En wasn't too surprised. Anyway, the magic penetration cannon does not consume a lot of physical strength, and it can be fired many times continuously. Just grab the Golden Lion and shoot it with 5 magic guns in a row. Asshole. When Golden Lion looked back, his hairs immediately stood on end. Just catch me and hit me. Hurry up to improve the accuracy of observation haki, perceive the path of the magic gun and quickly avoid it. A series of 5 strikes were all dodged between lightning and flint. At the same time, the Red Earl's movement was like a ghost, and he came to Susanoo's head like a ghost, and stabbed Xia En on the forehead with a sword. Ding! Sparks splashed everywhere, and it was no accident that they couldn't break through Susanoo's defense. But the Red Earl was not at all depressed, and there was an inexplicable meaning in his dignified eyes. Xia En stared at him with squinted eyes, and raised her hand to kill the cannon with magic light. The speed of the light beam was extremely fast, but the Red Earl, who was far more powerful than Golden Lion, Bullet and others, instantly turned into a red shadow and disappeared. What the Motong light cannon pierced through was only his afterimage, and it went directly into the sky. This made Xia En dignified, and when she turned her gaze, the Red Earl had already arrived behind Susanoo. Dodging your finger pistol doesn't have to be that hard either. The Red Earl seemed to have found his advantage, and a smile appeared on his old face. Because he saw Xia En for the first time, his eyes became serious. Lonely Red is really powerful. As Xia En said, she blocked the Red Earl's position 5 times in a row. The beam thicker than an ordinary person's thigh is full of power, and the speed is so fast that ordinary strong people can't react. The Red Earl was very calm when facing Xia En's magic gun light killing cannon. When he moved his body, he left many afterimages in a strange way. All that the magic penetrating light cannon penetrated instantly were the afterimages of the Red Earl, which shows that the speed of the Red Earl is indeed unimaginably fast. Xia En couldn't help sighing in her heart. Is this the strength of one person who can stand shoulder to shoulder with the entire pirate group? Really sharp enough. Obviously, the intention of the Red Earl and Golden Lion is not only to avoid the bombardment of Xia En's magic light killing cannon. Both of them are top powerhouses, and now they are fighting Xia En together, and tacitly started a roundabout tactic. They knew that Xia En's defense was terrifyingly strong, but their flexibility was limited in the Phantom Giant's body, and the biggest trouble was to be careful not to be hit by the beam. During this process, Xia En also understood that even with the addition of the Realm King Fist, the magic penetration light cannon is still not enough to hit the legendary powerhouse. Every time it was within the limit, the two Red Earls were able to dodge, and they could also get close to Susanoo's head and attack where they were. Ding! The crisp sound of sword strikes. How long can your defense last? With a strange smile, the Red Earl stabbed Susanoo's forehead with his sword in both hands. I thought in my heart that as long as I continuously and powerfully attack the fixed point position, I don't believe it can't be broken. Looks like we're going to get serious soon. Xia En was expressionless, and when she raised her hand, the magic gun burst out. The Red Earl seemed to have gotten used to dodging, almost instantly disappearing in place as soon as the beam of light shot out. At this scene, all the Marines below couldn't help but frown, and the nervousness resurfaced again. Xia En Vice Admiral is dragged. After all, it is a legendary pirate, how can it be so easy to deal with? The Marine soldiers couldn't help whispering while guarding against the pirates. Doflamingo, Hawkeye Mahawk and others also looked up at the battle where the light beam was advancing and the figure turned back, and their minds began to become complicated. It seemed that Xia En was stretched, even with strong strength, he couldn't hit the Golden Lion and the Red Earl, and was dragged and consumed. It's just that Doflamingo thinks differently from others. He has seen the power of Overnight Guy, and he knows how scary it is. Thinking about Xia En, does he want to play slowly? On the Whitebeard pirates' side, Marco, Bista and Yizeng and other captains were more excited. It seemed that the two Golden Lions dodged and did not dare to fight hard. In fact, anyone with a discerning eye knew that Xia En was at a disadvantage. Because he has no power but can't hit the Red Earl, Golden Lion. The audience in front of the live broadcast screen was even more nervous, their palms were sweating, they swallowed their throats from time to time, praying in their hearts that Marine would win. Although Xia En's finger pistol is powerful and fast, but for Golden Lion and the others, knowledge can still catch the trace. Continue to fight like this, either Xian En will use up his physical strength first or his defense will be broken. Garp's eyes were very serious, and he hit the nail on the head. It's almost there. We are also ready to make a move. Sengoku took a deep breath and signaled the Marine Vice Admirals to prepare for a counterattack. Now Xia En has held back the Golden Lion and the Red Earl, and the rest are the Whitebeard pirates and the extra Bullet and Blackbeard. Like those big criminals, they were injured and fell to the ground by Xia En a long time ago, and they haven't been able to stand up and fight yet. Therefore, it is the right time to make a move, and it happens to relieve Xia En's plight. But at this moment, suddenly, a completely different powerful aura swept the audience from the battle above. At this moment, the Golden Lion and the Red Earl dodged the magic light cannon, backed away again and again with surprise eyes. And Xia En was still in the original position, but to everyone's surprise, the orange-red illusory giant was put away by him. Without the defense of the illusory giant, just floating in the void. The arrogance on his body began to subside, but the aura was changing into a completely different feeling, causing bursts of air to turn into hurricanes. The legendary pirates are really difficult to deal with. If so, let's solve the battle quickly, and things will change if it is too late. Xia En didn't want to procrastinate any longer, her eyes swept across the battlefield below. There is also a super strong man who is not inferior to Golden Lion and others, the world's strongest man with a 793 beard. And the insidious Blackbeard, who hides a lot of inorganic matter, pretends to attack the Bullet who is resting after 2 punches. Strong enemies are all around you. Xia En originally planned to play slowly, but Golden Lion and Red Earl alone are so difficult to deal with. So decisively choose to open the strongest state. Ultra Instinct. The aura changed, and after the bursting aura was restrained, it returned to calm, but the aura's strength was not restrained in the slightest. This is also the reason why Golden Lion Shiki and the Red Earl quickly retreated. Xia En's actions are quite weird, so how dare you underestimate them at this moment? Sure enough, this kid removed that defense because he wanted to use something else. Golden Lion let out a strange cry, watching Xia En's change in astonishment. Is he glowing? The Red Earl was taken aback, he had never seen such a move before. Now Xia En exudes a hazy silver-white light, rendering the whole person including hair into silver-white. The brows that were originally slightly frowned were stretched, and the indifferent eyes that did not reveal the fluctuations of the task were watching the opposite Golden Lion and the Red Earl. In this strange state, the faces of everyone below changed drastically. Whitebeard, Bullet, Blackbeard, Marco, etc., as well as Marines Marshal Sengoku, Garp, the 3 admirals, including Shichibukai Hawkeye, Hancock, etc., are all like this. They can feel the great changes and majestic power in Xia En. Involuntarily, everyone was shocked, and there was no way to describe the breath they felt at this time. God, God. Among the Marine soldiers, someone muttered to himself. When this sound came out, it made the people present more and more sure that this was the case. The breath of God. The shocking sound came out, making the people on the pirate side both shocked and ugly. Stronger than before. Not at the same level at all. Whitebeard's eyes trembled a little, and he said in disbelief. With his strength, like the 2 Red Earls above, he can feel the deeper information conveyed by the breath. Marco, Vista, Ace, Luffy and others were dumbfounded, and looked up in amazement. And this unprecedented form, Kizaru, Aokiji, and Akainu all know it, must be Xia En's newly realized move. Boy, it looks like Kaido's fight made him improve a lot. This breath is more threatening than before. Golden Lion's complexion has changed. He is stronger than us now, much stronger. In the end, Akainu Sakazuki had to admit that the breath that Xia En feels today is very scary. Not violent, not turbulent, but the feeling that everything is under control. Chapter 79. The audience's knowledge and knowledge have failed, and the old era's collective big move is coming. Advertise here. The Golden Lion and the Red Earl, who are the main battlers, are both very dignified, but they dare not act rashly in the face of Xia En at this moment. I feel that he is more dangerous now than before. The Red Earl retreated a lot cautiously, and spoke. Obviously there is no illusory giant, but Xia En, who is dressed in silver and white, has a greater sense of threat. This is not knowledge, but fighting intuition. Don't feel it, he just got stronger. How could there be such a monster in Marine? Golden Lion Shiki was cursing a little bit, feeling really ashamed. Two old guys joined forces to deal with a young man, and they still showed such an attitude. Little do they know that the two of them have been fighting until now, and they have already unknowingly forgotten Xia En's age, just like facing the strongest enemy in this life. Are you finished? At this moment, Xia En spoke slowly. His unmoving eyes stared at the two of them, and he raised his fingers. Shiki and the Red Earl immediately fixed their eyes, subconsciously preparing to dodge. At the next moment, the magic cannon light cannon restored in the state of free and extreme intention pierced the air, passed through the distance, and arrived in front of Shiki almost instantly. How come? Shiki has been prepared for a long time. Unexpectedly, when Wenshi wanted to capture the light beam trajectory, he realized that his observation haki was useless at all. It's like falling into a black pool, the tentacles of knowledge and knowledge can't perceive anything at all. But at this time, the light beam is already close in front of us. Slash wave. Facing the light beam, the only movement Shiki can make is to raise his legs and move his two famous knives. The slash suddenly appeared, and the magic penetrating light killing cannon arrived, smashing the sword energy in an instant, and then bombarded the knife body. In the next second, the huge impact directly sent Shiki flying, and Lion Fruit couldn't stabilize the body that was hit, and smashed into the square with a bang, leaving a big hole. The unlucky people in the square were overturned by the impact of Shiki's drop, whether it was marine or pirate, they all watched this scene in shock. Here's what happened. It was so fast, before some people could even react, Yuji had already smashed into the ground. In the sky, the Red Earl, who relied on his physical skills to stay in the air, had no time to care about the Golden Lion being knocked into the air, and a look of astonishment flashed across his old face. There is no explosion, but the impact power is more than doubled. The attack speed has also become much, much faster. Xia En, who has entered this state, is actually so powerful. But as the Red Earl, who is on the same level as the top pirates at sea, although he is shocked, he will not back down. When he realized it, he turned into a ghost with a long sword and quickly approached Xia En. How can you defend against the illusory giant without the body protection? His idea is very simple, that is to attack Xia En. The sword energy is like the moon, and the breath is blue. The Red Earl was already close to Xia En in the blink of an eye, bent his arms, and drew out his sword. A stab headed towards Xia En's door. Everyone knows that the Red Earl's movement trajectory, the speed of his moves, and even his lack of strength cannot be seen. But this time, Xia En didn't even move her body, and her eyes easily grasped all the changes of the sword tip. Tilting his head slightly, the tip of the Red Earl's sword fell into the air, and the sharp piercing force directly pierced Xia En's back, like a ray of light going away. The Red Earl never thought that Xia En could dodge his thrust so easily, so he simply turned back his strength, armament haki focused and slashed down. If this hit, it is estimated that Xia En's left shoulder including the arm will be cut off by the Red Earl. How could Xia En, who was in a state of ease and ecstasy, be tricked? There is no need to go through the brain to think and react, the limbs and body have already responded autonomously. At the moment when the Red Earl's sword slashed, he turned sideways at the same time, and just missed the slash. Boom. The ice surface of the inner bay below, as well as the ships, were split open by the Red Earl's sword. The ferocious sword energy is no weaker than Hawkeye. How did he react so quickly? Under normal circumstances, it is almost impossible to dodge. The Red Earl's pupils shrank, indicating that he was extremely surprised. At this moment, Xia En's finger was pointed at him. The magic light cannon bursts out. This scene was exactly the same as when he stabbed Xia En with a sword just now. The Red Earl felt that he hadn't broken out in a cold sweat for a long time, but now he was startled. Even though he turned around quickly, Xia En's blow pierced his back. Bring out the blood splash, the beam penetrates from under the shoulder and shoots directly into the sky. Close combat is the most dangerous. What is fighting is the hard power of both sides. It's just that who would have thought that he would be injured? Ultra instinct is the most complete fighting state. Gritting his teeth and holding back, the Red Earl knew he couldn't stop yet, a red light flashed in his eyes. The talent of knowledge and knowledge is mobilized, and he wants to read Xia En's mind directly. As a result, the whole person seemed to have seen a ghost, desperately using body skills to quickly get away from Xia En. Impossible. My knowledge. Observation haki, who has been awakened since he was a child, accompanies him to old age and is his strongest strength. Even relying on his knowledge and knowledge, he can fight against an entire top pirate group, and against opponents like Roger and Garp, he can also remain invincible. Who would have thought that just now, the color of knowledge and knowledge has completely failed? Let alone mind reading. It's exactly the same as Golden Lion's feeling, like falling into a silent dark black pool, where knowledge and knowledge exist but nothing can be perceived. One can imagine how surprised and shocked the Red Earl is today. Xia En knew that under her free will, all the perception abilities would be useless, so she continued to attack without any surprise. Red Earl's movement is fast enough, but Xia En is even faster. Even when the Red Earl kept retreating, he reached out and directly grabbed his injured arm. Turning his body sideways, avoiding the Red Earl's thrusting sword in return, the other hand lit up the light of the Demon Buddha light bar cannon. But immediately, the right hand launched by Xia En retracted without warning, and let go of the Red Earl, retreating. It just so happened that an incomparably sharp yellow slashing sword aura shot up from the sky. It was Golden Lion Shiki who stood up again and made a move to help the Red Earl out of the siege, and at the same time said loudly, "He is weird, observation haki can't be used." It's really. Doflamingo, Hancock, these Shichibukai tried immediately after hearing the words, and then couldn't help but exclaimed. The feeling of being used by the restricted knowledge color is really amazing. At this time, Sengoku, Garp, the three admirals and marines, including the Whitebeard pirates, who were about to do it, all discovered that their knowledge was really completely blocked, and their perception was nothingness and darkness. Sengoku originally wanted to counterattack immediately with just one gesture, but when he found that there was something wrong with his knowledge, he stopped immediately. Wait. We are also affected. In my field, knowledge and knowledge will be suppressed indiscriminately. Xia En didn't shy away from the pirates either, and said to Sengoku from afar. The sound was transmitted without any hindrance and attenuation, and everyone who heard it froze. Everyone in the audience couldn't help being shocked again. Observation haki who suppressed the audience by one person. This is too exaggerated. Although the powerhouses all know that when the Conqueror's haki is strong to a certain extent, it can suppress the ability and knowledge, but that kind is targeted. For example, Whitebeard, Marco and others know that the red-haired Shanks can suppress knowledge and prescience. That is the so-called killing by knowledge. It must have something to do with his current state. What the hell is this? Whitebeard had seen a lot, but had never heard of this ability. Isn't he really demon fruit power? Marco, Yizang and other captains all had gloomy expressions. It is hard to imagine how powerful Xia En and Regret have become after suppressing observation haki at this time. No wonder the Red Earl became so passive just now, and Xia En directly grabbed his arm. Hawkeye Mahawk tried repeatedly to break through the color of knowledge, but no matter how hard he tried, he could only feel the darkness, and then said with emotion, "It's really a powerful move. It suppresses the color of knowledge, which is equivalent to making everyone blind. Even I was shielded from the color of knowledge, and so was the Golden Lion and the Red Earl, which could not be broken." Hawkeye realized at this moment that maybe the melee would not happen again, but it would become Xia En fighting against all strong players alone. If Xia En is not eliminated, the people on the side of Golden Lion will have no way to talk about continuing the war. And on the other side of Marineford Square. What? Blackbeard swallowed, thinking that the suppression of observation haki was really caused by Xia En. "Captain, what shall we do?" Blackbeard asked Blackbeard, who was badly injured and coughed as he managed to get up. "Tell everyone to retreat one after another." Without hesitation, Blackbeard said to the classmates who got up behind him, his heart was full of jealousy and fear. The current situation has changed too much, it is no longer the time to be arrogant just now, and Xia En is too fierce, directly destroying the prisoners brought out by Impel Down. Now it is even more terrifying to use a white move. Blocking the knowledge of the entire Marineford. Blackbeard didn't even dare to think of having such an ability. Haki is the power hidden in the human body, and the scope of the light, the suppression is strong, it is difficult for the people present not to be shocked, even horrified. This guy, it's only been a few days, he's getting more and more pervert. Doflamingo felt that it was wise not to confront Xia En at this time. A new move, or an ability. Garp felt his observation haki fall into nothingness and darkness, and was shocked. It's a good thing he came back to join the battle. It's so good, it shields the color of knowledge, and our advantage is even greater. Sengoku knew that this was Xia En's new move, and such a powerful effect made him a little excited. But at this moment, suddenly, the ground shook violently. Bullet has red eyes, and the purple power flowing on his body is linked to the ground, causing the whole ground to tremble. The inorganic matter he transformed before activating. So what if you don't have knowledge? Power is above everything else. The purple inorganic matter surging like a river broke out of the ground. With a frenzied appearance, Bullet was wrapped by the inorganic matter, and then condensed into a human form and continued to rise. This kid has surpassed the scope of ordinary strong men, let's deal with him together. Otherwise, no one will really escape from Impel Down. Golden Lion Shiki decisively shouted at all the prisoners and the Whitebeard pirates. Then quickly flew into the sky. It can be said that everyone has seen Xia En's strength, except for a few people who were a little moved, no one dares to go up. When Bullet uses the combined fruit big move, the prisoners who joined the Blackbeard pirates, Dai Peng, Evil King, Big Barrel, and Shiryu, are still bleeding from their wounds and have not looked back. They are silently together with Blackbeard and others. Retreat to avoid falling into the Marines' encirclement. Hearing this, Whitebeard frowned, but he didn't dare to let the children prepare to fight. Even he himself felt that it was very difficult, so he raised his hand and ordered, "Don't be impulsive. That Shaen is not. You can fight." Quote. Among the Shichibukai, only Hawkeye is interested in attacking Shaen, but following these prisoners to besiege him is not going to do it. So it can be seen that the people present are almost silent. Sengoku scans the audience to pay attention, and finds that other people are not moving, so naturally he will not make a move. The battle is still between Shaen and Golden Lion, Red Earl, and Bullet, the three top powerhouses. It seems that your appeal is not very good. Shaen looked at the flying Golden Lion and said calmly. Short-sighted guy. The Golden Lion was a little ashamed and angry, and stared fiercely at Blackbeard who was bewitching them to come over. And at this moment, there was a loud bang. A giant appeared on the square in Marineford. The combined fruit absorbs the materials and materials of Marineford, decomposes and reassembles them, enough to form an incomparably huge combined giant. Bigger than Little Oz, bigger than Susanoo, it seems like it could fall through the whole Marineford square. The sound just now was the sound of Bullet stepping into the inner bay, breaking through the ice and blasting into the sea water. Bullet's own strength has also been improved unprecedentedly, which makes him very excited. Shaen, feel what a real calendar area is. The fist waved, and this action alone caused the hurricane to howl. In front of the huge fist, the air pressure exploded, blasting towards the Shaen dragon with a power that terrified countless people. The opportunity came. The Red Earl's figure suddenly turned into a ghost and disappeared in place. Golden Lion Shiki also flew up quickly, constantly raising its position, staring at Shaen, and seemed to be controlling the power of lion fruit with one hand. Shaen didn't pay attention to the movements of the two, turned around to face the fist of the combined giant, and raised her hand to kill the cannon with magic light. Streamer emerges. Covered with haki, the huge black-purple plated fist was directly penetrated by the magic penetrating light-killing cannon at the moment of contact, and was torn apart from it. The violent attack turned into gravel in an instant, and large chunks fell down. Bullet was startled. Still can't stop his finger pistol. Chapter 80. This is the battle between the peak powerhouses. Susanoo is going to be unstoppable. Advertise here. The magic gun is irresistible. Even if Bullet used a large amount of armament haki, it was still easily penetrated, and with the kinetic energy moving forward, the entire giant's fist was torn apart. The inorganic matter that lost its ability to condense turned into a hard block and fell into the sea below. This scene made countless people watch with horror, and audiences from all over the world were even more dumbfounded. Shaen's finger pistol shot directly broke the giant punch that shocked everyone. It's not over. After Bullet was taken aback, he roared unconvincingly, his body was flowing purple, and his broken fist recovered quickly. With the movement of the arm, it still smashed forward towards Shaen. In this regard, Shaen did not continue to smash it with the magic gun light-killing cannon, but turned slightly to look at the Red Earl. Compared with Bullet's attack, Red Earl's movements deserve Shaen's attention even more. Because at this time the Red Earl actually broke out the extremely powerful Conqueror's haki, causing the entire sky to shine with thunder. Shaen. At this time, Kizaru below couldn't help shouting. Why did you turn your head? Bullet's attack is still going on. So many pairs of eyes were surprised when they saw Shaen's actions. In the end, Shaen didn't turn her head back, and thought about it. The orange-red light is on. Susanoo manifests almost instantly in the state of free ecstasy. Collided with Bullet's hard punch. The loud explosion was accompanied by the impact of power, and when the people below heard the sound, a gust of wind had already rushed towards them. Bullet still didn't break Shaen's defense, and the combined giant almost couldn't stand still, but was knocked back a step by the shock. The soles of the feet stepped into the square and sank deeply into the ground, scaring the pirates to scatter. My god, just a simple counter move is already so terrifying. Do you still dare to use it? The Red Earl saw Shaen's disdain for Bullet's attack, and sneered when he saw Susanoo reappearing. The majestic Conqueror's haki on his body flows into the long sword in his hand like a whirlpool. The crackling haki lightning was black and red, reflecting the Red Earl in his hand into a shocking image, and in the next second, it turned into a red line and rushed directly to Shaen. This is Kaido's tyrannical entanglement move. With Susanoo on his body, if 073 didn't get close to Shaen, ZZG wouldn't respond to the action it should, but Shaen raised his finger. The magic light cannon fired at the Red Earl without hesitation. The light beam flies away. However, the Red Earl didn't dodge anything, facing the magic light and killing the cannon, he actually slashed down. Many people thought that Shaen's omnipotent beam could knock the Red Earl back. Unexpectedly, with the astonishing strength of Haki's blessing, coupled with the power of the dive, he actually sliced through Shaen's magic gun. The beam of light refracted towards the sky on both sides against the knife body. The legendary pirate, it seems that I still underestimated a bit. Shaen was slightly surprised. After all, his magic light cannon is a proper emperor-level power, and he didn't expect the Red Earl to be able to resist it. In the next second, the Red Earl, who was like a black and red lightning bolt, struck Susanoo fiercely. Taking the knife as the starting point, the explosive black thunder and lightning bloomed like a flower, occupying everyone's field of vision. As this the battle of the peak powerhouse. Shichibukai, marine fighters, and pirates were all shocked. For their strength, such a scene is too scary, whether it is Bullet or the Red Earl. But even so, in the eyes of everyone, Xia En still stood calmly on Susanoo's forehead, her silver-white hair fluttering, her gaze indifferent. Even the Red Earl's sword had already threatened Susanoo, causing quite a shock. Xia En looked at it lightly and said, "You only have this chance. If we are compared by a junior like you, we will really lose face." At this time, the voice of Golden Lion Shiki came. They fought Xia En not only to fight against Marine and avoid the risk of being captured, but also to learn from Xia En. At the same time, a huge island fell from the sky. Enough to be half the volume of Marineford. As the height drops, it can block out the sun. No one expected that Golden Lion Shiki was preparing such a terrifying move. In the live broadcast, the camera was too elevated, allowing everyone to see this scene. The kings trembled with fright, and couldn't believe that the Golden Lion's attack method was so shocking. All kinds of people from other forces showed a unified look. Dread. AGDH, legends are legends, even if they are old, they still have the power to destroy heaven and earth. It's a whole island. That guy, are you crazy? Garp couldn't help roaring, and wanted to rush up. If it falls, Marineford will directly smash half of it, which is as threatening as Whitebeard's earthquake and tsunami, and even far exceeds the destructive power. The Marine soldiers are already covered in cold sweat at this moment, and their expressions are already dull. Quick, get ready. Sengoku yelled at the arrangement, but at the same time stopped Garp, saying, "Don't disrupt Xia En's battle, let's defend Marineford." The situation is critical, but Sengoku is still rational. The scene suddenly became a little chaotic, and the Shichibukai were all frowning, but they didn't panic. Whitebeard's gang also stood on the bow of the Moby Dick, watching the battle in the sky. Keep him. Shiki used almost all of his fruit abilities to accelerate the island while firmly locking onto Xia En. It's just that without observation haki, what he fears most is Xia En running away. But below is Marineford, he may not hide, he may choose to resist. Xia En really didn't intend to dodge, and even his eyes didn't change. Isn't this scene just like Tengai Shinsei in Hokage smashing down? Hearing this, the Red Earl immediately drew his sword and turned around, bursting out with fierce sword energy again. Turning around and slashing with a sword, the half-moon arc continued to slash towards Susanoo's head with red and black lightning. At the same time, Bullet's combined giant clasped its hands and grabbed Susanoo. All they have to do is leave Xia En in place and take the hit with the powerful moves. Xia En's eyes were fixed, and there was no movement in the eyes, but a movement of thoughts. Still falling on him from the Red Earl's slash, the slash couldn't break through Susanoo, but caused a shock. Susanoo's hands are still raised up, reaching out to the fallen island. Gia ha ha ha, kid, are you looking stupid and want to catch it with your bare hands? Golden Lion was sweating hard, and the minister couldn't help it after seeing Xia En's actions. This is an island that Golden Lion controlled before, and it took some time to activate the ability to move over. From a height of 10,000 meters, the impact force of the fall is assisted, and the lion fruit is used to continuously accelerate, and now the island is no different from a shooting star. And bigger than the average meteor. The strength of the smashed down is unimaginable, and the radius of destruction must be far beyond the scope of Marineford. He is confident that not only can he smash Xia En's defenses, but also Xia En himself will be smashed into the bottom of the sea, and he will never be able to turn back. Unexpectedly difficult. I never knew that Golden Lion has this trick. After crossing over, Xia En also clearly remembered the moves of the Golden Lion, but this situation was unexpected, and she sighed unexpectedly in her heart. It is not impulsive to stretch out her hands to catch it hard. In the state of extreme intention, Xia En will not be impulsive, and will only have the most perfect fighting consciousness. Being able to make such an action shows that the Golden Lion is still unable to bring a devastating blow. The island fell, pointing at Xia En like the tip of a cone. The turbulent air flow and the air pressure surge caused by the fall made countless people feel the oppression of ultimate in the darkened sky. Cover up the sky, howling wind. Hawkeye Mahawk frowned and pulled out the black sword Yaya. If the island falls, he cuts the island with a knife. Garp rolled up his sleeves, his arms were covered with a layer of black, and the armed scourge was ready to launch at any time. Kizaru, Akainu, and Aokiji have gloomy faces, and their bodies have already begun to turn into elements. Even Sengoku's eyes glowed with golden light. Once Xia En can't solve it, these old guys will take over the battle. Although this will attract all enemy attacks. The only one who is still calm is Whitebeard. It has been said before that the wave behind pushes the wave ahead. It seems that the new era needs new strong people to support it. He could tell that Xia En didn't panic at all. He even ignored the Red Earl and Bullet's interference, because he was confident in his own defense. The two big palms of Bullet's fit giant directly closed and grabbed Susanoo's phantom legs, and Bullet even smiled secretly. In this case, unless the defense is lifted, don't try to dodge. Seeing that the time had come, the Red Earl quickly retreated, but Xia En ignored the two of them. Facing the falling island control, Susanoo put both hands in the past. Boom. Loud roar reverberates. The confluence of the two forces caused the tip of the falling island to burst instantly. And Susanoo's palms also plunged into the island fiercely, accompanied by an ultimate wand. Xia En could feel the terrifying impact in Susanoo's body, and it even acted on her own body. However, Xia En didn't even need to think about it. In the body shrouded in silver, the muscles naturally trembled strangely, releasing the impact force. Under the extreme will, even if it cannot be completely removed, the remaining impact force can no longer hurt Xia En's body. Not so easy on Susanoo. Contact, force impact, and the power of falling will not be easily endured. It can be seen that starting from Susanoo's palm arm, cracks are torn under the terrifying force. Exclamation mark. Follow the impact to the entire illusory body. Orange-red sparks burst forth. Even the fit giant holding onto Susanoo's thigh below shared the terrifying power of falling from a height of 10,000 meters. The arm composed of inorganic matter suddenly broke and shattered. It is conceivable how terrifying and destructive this is. It is enough to make everyone's heart tremble when they see it. Bullet was not dissatisfied in the slightest, and laughed wildly while controlling the retreat. Okay. You can't run away. Ha ha ha. Golden Lion Shiki controlled the island, felt the resistance from the touch, widened his eyes and tried his best to completely suppress Xia En. Seeing Xia En's Susanoo's arms pierced into the island from bottom to top, and the rubble was broken, Golden Lion was not surprised, but even more excited. Golden Lion thinks that by doing this, Xia En will only pour all the destructive power of the falling island on himself. And it is. In the state of extreme consciousness, for the first time, a solemn look appeared in Xia En's eyes. Susanoo. Almost. Both arms were inserted into the island fiercely, and they continued to go deeper, and they were about to hit their heads on the island. Xia En is standing on the head of Susanoo. Generally speaking, it is very dangerous to resist like this. Once Susanoo can't bear it, all the impact force will be applied to his body. However, Xia En looked down at marine below in this gap. Seeing that everyone was ready to welcome the fall of the big island, they raised their eyes and let out a loud shout. With a loud bang, Susanoo's head collided with the island. Unreal's hands are directly inserted into the island. This scene looks like a person carrying a boulder 10 times bigger than himself. Immediately, something that frightened the working Golden Lion happened. With the roar of Xia En, the silver-white light soars. Unparalleled power poured into Susanoo's body. The hands that went deep into the island tore hard, and under a burst of violent atmospheric vibrations, Susanoo, which was full of cracks, was like a real giant, completely tearing the falling island apart. Exclamation mark. No. Impossible. Golden Lion screamed uncontrollably, the facial expression management dropped immediately, and his eyeballs were protruding. He felt that the power of the lion fruit he arranged was torn apart as Xia En manipulated Susanoo, and was wiped out directly. The island was even more abruptly broken into two halves. Such power. How did he do it? The Red Earl was so shocked that his old face was wrinkled together, and it was obvious that cold sweat was breaking out. The island that fell from a height of 10,000 meters fell under the impact of lion fruit's reinforcement and acceleration, and was actually torn apart by him directly controlling the illusory giant. Even the cracks all over the body of Susanoo controlled by Xia En, as if it was about to fall apart, did not prevent them from being shocked. The island that was torn apart dropped a lot of boulders, mud blocks, and even trees. It was supposed to land directly on Marineford, but at this time, it was also thrown directly to the sea on both sides by Xia En's breaking force. There are also a lot of debris to drop in the square, inner bay, back mountain town, etc. Boom. Half of the torn island hit the wall of tsunami ice frozen by Aokiji in the first place, causing a huge shock and slipping into the sea with the broken ice, without hitting Marineford. At this time, everyone realized that the huge destructive impact brought by the falling island had almost attenuated. And the other half fell to the farther sea surface, smashing a spectacular 100-meter wave. Similarly, its power has almost attenuated. This is precisely because Xia En has already received all the destructive power. As a result, the cracks in Susanoo at this time are getting bigger and bigger, and they are almost about to collapse. Chapter 81. The aura of red shocked everyone. Yi Gai kicked the giant who flew 1,000 meters away. Advertise here. Seeing the big island that fell with all his strength being torn apart like this, Golden Lion was shocked to the point of shock. What kind of monster is he? That kind of destructive power, coupled with the cooperation of the Red Earl and Bullet, still failed to break through Xia En's defense. Although there are already cracks. Everyone was frightened by the battle just now, and when they realized it, apart from the Golden Lion, there was already a broken Susanoo in the sky. What a terrible defense. Whitebeard, Hawkeye, Blackbeard and the others are all aware of how powerful the fall of the island just now is. But who would have imagined that Xia En could directly use the defensive illusory giant to tear the island apart? The island itself is made of mud and rocks, not that strong, but with the ability of lion fruit, coupled with the acceleration of falling from the sky, the impact force is unparalleled. He still caught it, not just catching it, but also withstood all the destructive power to save Marin Vanduo from disaster. It's just that Whitebeard himself is sure to catch and not sure to keep the surrounding area. Garp and Sengoku smiled at each other after being shocked, and praised sincerely, good boy. Not only resisted the enemy, but also protected Marineford. The three admirals also breathed a sigh of relief. They were all ready to attack directly just now. Fortunately, Xia En can solve it better. It's just that Xia En's state doesn't seem right now, and his defense is about to fail. Seeing the illusory giant full of cracks, namely Susanoo, Jia Yuan said worriedly. But Xia En itself seemed to be in good condition, Marine did not act easily, and Marshal Sengoku did not give orders, so he could only maintain the greatest vigilance against the Whitebeard pirates. But people all over the world are in an uproar in the face of escalating battles. It's okay, it's okay. Marine won't lose yet. Some people were even frightened and overwhelmed. Seeing that Marineford's crisis was lifted in the live broadcast, they sat down on the ground. However, at this time, there was another big movement on the live broadcast screen. Now, Bullet let out a roar, and the fit giant with a broken arm quickly recovered and took a big step. That illusory giant is about to burst, so what are you waiting for? But just when he got aggressive, Bullet froze, staring at Xia En in disbelief. After solving the fall of the island, Xia En used great strength and breathed a sigh of relief. While turning around, Susanoo, who was full of cracks, also turned around. Once again, something that shocked everyone in the audience happened. In the process of turning around, the cracks covering Susanoo's body, like spider webs and cracked glass, healed quickly. When Xia En turns back to face Golden Lion, Bullet and others again. It has restored its original appearance impressively, and there is still a little bit of broken appearance. No, can't you? Blackbeard was dumbfounded. Bullet was dumbfounded. Golden Lion, the Red Earl, and the Whitebeard pirates below were all dumbfounded. Even the marine soldiers, even the 3 admirals and the others were all high and froze, not knowing how to express their shock. Suffering such a strong attack, even the illusory giant, which was on the verge of collapsing, was about to be shattered, but healed in the blink of an eye. Xia En, what are you? What kind of move is this? Golden Lion was a little hit and roared hysterically. He couldn't believe his eyes, he finally managed to break through, but he didn't do anything, turned around and healed up. You must know that the move just now was the most powerful destructive move that was used with all Lion Fruit's abilities. And Xia En's defense is too heaven-defying. It's called Susanoo. Xia En said lightly, and raised her finger slightly. Susanoo. No one has the ability, no one can achieve this level, even Roger, Rocks can't reach this talent. Who the hell are you? Golden Lion was crazy, he didn't care about Xia En's moves, he just wanted to know why it wasn't Devil Fruit's ability to do such amazing moves. It's not so much a move, but rather an ability to surpass Devil Fruit. Of course, Xia En couldn't understand Golden Lion's battered appearance. Just a Marine Vice Admiral with better talent. Golden Lion, the outside world is no longer your time, obediently go back to impel down. Xia En didn't make a move right away, but said something more. Finished speaking. This is a burst of magic light killing cannon. The beam of light came in an instant, Golden Lion tried his best to dodge, but lost observation haki, facing Xia En's finger pistol, was almost unable to fully react. Passing over Golden Lion's chest, a deep bloodstain was drawn on the clothes and body. The blood immediately stained the Golden Lion's predecessor, and he was also thrown flying by the impact inertia black. Just when Xia En wanted to subdue Golden Lion first. Pointy forehead. At the same time, Bullet's roar came. Xia En knew without looking that the one with the sword on his head was the Red Earl, and the bullet below was more interesting. It crazily devoured the surrounding buildings and warships, including the steel buildings underground in Marineford, and turned them into inorganic substances to supplement the combined giant. Xia En ignored the Red Earl's thrust, because he alone could not break through his own Susanoo. Tian looked down. I saw that the fit giant controlled by Bullet was constantly growing taller, even relying on height alone, he could reach Susanoo's body height without reaching out. At the same time, the inflated figure is getting bigger and bigger, to the extent that both feet can occupy the entire square. This guy is really troublesome. Seeing this, Xia En immediately knew that Bullet was going to show the strongest form. I've seen it myself, and I've seen it on the 2-dimensional screen. It is the strongest form of Bullet. The huge body alone is enough to flatten a large island. What's more, Marineford is not as huge as the general large islands. At this time, the Red Earl landed on Susanoo's head again, stabbing with the long sword. As a result, this ordinary long sword could no longer bear it, even with Haki's blessing, and it collapsed instantly. It seems that the battle must be resolved quickly. Xia En knew that Bullet unscrupulously absorbed inorganic substances to activate the strongest form. If not stopped, Marineford would really sink. So he ignored the Red Earl's restraint, and took a deep breath. The silver-white light on his body began to change, and a blood-like red light loomed. Immediately, the blood-red flame enveloped Xia En in an instant. An indescribable atmosphere enveloped the audience. The Red Earl who was closest to the spot was startled and backed away, staring at Xia En in disbelief. A sense of fear spontaneously arose. Below Marineford, when everyone felt this breath, the hairs stand on end. Dangerous feeling. The Red Earl looked at Xia En in disbelief, and felt a sense of fear in Xia En's breath at this time. The blood-red arrogance rose, covering Xia En's whole body. Ultimate sense of oppression broke out unscrupulously for the first time. Under the huge coercion covering the audience, everyone can clearly feel the super sense of crisis they have now. Xia En is going to use that move. This guy is getting more and more outrageous. With such power, is he going to do his best to end the battle? Marshal Sengoku, Garp, Kizaru, Aokiji, Akainu, and the Marines were shocked for a while, and even they all felt the spontaneous sense of fear. They know that this is a move that was not used in the experiment, and they also know that this move made Kaido almost unable to get up. Even if this aura is not aimed at them, they are also affected by the deterrence that permeates the audience. Yes, that's the trick. Doflamingo's heart was throbbing, he couldn't help swallowing his throat, and looked up at Xia En who was rising with red flames above him. He recognized the shape and the impressive aura at a glance. Isn't this the move that was used in Deresalos to almost kick Kaido to death? You know. Beside them, Empress Hancock and Gecko Moria, who started to tremble in fear, were amazed. The current state of Xia En is really too terrifying. Amidst the swirling blood-red aura, it looks like an ancient beast awakened, which makes people unable to raise the thought of resistance. This is also because Xia En's strength has been continuously improved in the promotion time after time, and Yi Gai's big move has become more and more terrifying, and it has even surpassed its original power. Doflamingo remained silent, his eyes fixed on Xia En's body without answering. At the same time, the irresistible sense of fear made the pirates under Whitebeard's command terrified, and some even collapsed to the ground, terrified. Even Whitebeard's eyes flashed unprecedented fear. What kind of move will it be? This momentum is really terrifying. Marco, Vista and the others felt goosebumps on their bodies, their hearts trembled, and they felt great terror. The Red Earl and Golden Lion still have no intention of going up to fight Xia En. The closer they get, the more they can feel the terror under Xia En's blood-red arrogance. 0. Seeking flowers. Even that momentum has already distorted the atmosphere around him a bit. At this time, Bullet's stature continued to rise, reaching an unprecedented height. The island of Marineford seemed less massive under his feet, and he, Bullet, was the only true giant on the island. After the inflated fruit became huge, the San Juan wolf was only a little higher than his knees, which shows such a terrifying height at this time. But at this time, Bullet was not as arrogant as he imagined, instead, he was shocked in the space controlled by the combined giant. The awakened Xia En of the ancient beast brought him an unimaginable sense of fear. It is also because Xia En's target is Bullet himself. Death. Open. However, Xia En just whispered 3 words at this time. The rising blood-red arrogance burst out, sweeping the audience like a gust of wind. It was as if the entire space trembled, and everyone below was sweating in shock. Bullet even subconsciously wanted to back away, his eyes full of fear. What the hell did you do? He was intimidated. He even forgot that he was in the strongest combined form, and he couldn't suppress the emotion of fear. I have never seen such a terrifying breath, such a powerful human being. People like Rox and Roger are far inferior to the feeling that Xia En brings to Bullet at this moment. Xia En didn't say a word, her indifferent eyes locked on, and the Susanoo on her body faded and disappeared. The next moment, the figure appeared in front of the fit giant without warning. Under normal body shape, compared with Bullet's ultimate fit giant form, it is as big as an ant on the fingertips. But in the eyes of everyone, Xia En's small figure is smaller than Bullet. Be huge. Under everyone's nervous and astonished eyes, Bullet didn't even have time to react. Night guy, raise your legs and kick. The speed of movement in one go is not fast. But the whole space trembled. With blood-red arrogance, this foot was firmly imprinted on the body of the fitted giant. Boom. The red air wave spread in front of Xia En in a circle. Bullet was manipulating the space, his eyes widened immediately, his throat seemed to be restrained and he couldn't make a sound, his eyeballs were congested. An indescribable terrifying force struck, directly acting on the entire body of the combined giant. With a bang, the blood-red arrogance was like a spray hole, directly piercing through the body of the finally fit giant, forming a torrent of blood energy passing through the body, and spraying towards the distance. At the same time, Bullet's real body spat out blood, and his internal organs were disturbed in pain. Under his unbelievably shocked and terrified eyes, Armament Haki, who were all over the combined giants, was wiped out. The whole body is cracked. However, with the torrent of blood, the terrifying giant, which is even bigger than the 3 naval headquarters fortresses combined, left its feet off the ground, and was kicked away by Xia En. What a shocking scene when such a giant's body flies upside down. All the audience in front of the live broadcast were so shocked that their jaws fell to the ground. Everyone witnessed with their own eyes that the terrifying giant flew upside down from the ground, and at the same time that the cracks in its body spread, it drew a parabola in the air. Immediately, like an asteroid crashing into the ocean, it caused a huge shock, and at the same time there was a loud noise. The combined giant is completely torn apart. Shocking waves splashed, straight to the sky. The impact of falling alone is enough to set off an unimaginable tsunami. As the audience at the scene could see, the moment Bullet fell, Xia En Yi Gai's impact was far from over. Although the giant is big, it is not strong enough to withstand all of Yi Gai's power, especially the torrent passing through the body, which finally parted the sea and directly blasted the gate of justice in the distance. Broken, heading for the distance. The whole sea trembled. Everyone was dumbfounded watching the earth-shattering scene. When Bullet was over, everyone didn't even need to think about it. If they didn't die, they would definitely be seriously injured. The wave that was set off resurged and returned along with the slap. All the big shots present didn't react at once, and they were beyond shocked. Like Golden Lion and Red Earl, their limbs are trembling, thinking that if such an attack falls on their body, they will definitely not be able to withstand it. Escape from prison, Escape from prison, you shouldn't provoke this guy. Golden Lion feels very regretful now. What else to fight? No need to fight, just facing Xia En at this moment can't help feeling a little scared. Chapter 82 When the red hair arrives, the whole world is stunned. Xia En played 2 games on top. Advertise here. The total amount of inorganic matter gathered by Bullet is more than that of the Pirate Expo, and it consumes a lot of Marineford materials, such as the underground organs, which are all made of steel, with sufficient resources, so it has created a larger body. The indomitable giant, no one can't help but be shocked when they see it. But such a mighty giant was kicked away by Xia En directly, even without the power to resist, it flew upside down and fell into the sea. A huge tsunami also began to emerge. But the shock of everyone at the scene couldn't be further increased. Golden Lion and Red Earl immediately lost their fighting spirit. It's impossible to beat him. The Red Earl is a cautious person, even if he didn't make a desperate move, he knew that he couldn't be Xia En's opponent. Just at this time, Bullet was abolished with one move, and his huge body fell into the sea, attracting everyone's attention. The Red Earl chose to run away without hesitation. It turned into a touch of red and disappeared in place. At the same time, Golden Lion's mind was shaking back and forth, and he was already backing away in horror, watching Xia En, who was slowly retracting his legs on the square, turned his head and flew towards the sky. Go all out at speed, ultimate, in a desperate attempt to escape Marineford. Not good. The Golden Lion and the Red Earl have run away. At this time, someone reacted, saw the 2 distant figures in the sky, and exclaimed. This sound also woke up the shocked crowd. Marine soldiers, admirals saw that not only the Red Earl and the Golden Lion, but even Blackbeard and the group of injured criminals had disappeared. No, Blackbeard and the prisoners, Akainu said eagerly subconsciously, turning his head to look at Xia En. For example, if 437 said who could stop all the fleeing people, it must be Xia En who shocked the audience with a thunderous shot. But at this time, because of excessive consumption, Xia En restrained Yi Gai's aura, panted heavily, and focused on the leaving Golden Lion and others, but did not directly pursue. No matter how much stamina you have, Yi Gai will consume superstars. It seems that you need to be proficient in controlling consumption. It's not that Xia En doesn't want to chase, but that it's not worth it, and physical exertion is also a big problem. Seeing this situation, Akainu naturally did not dare to remind Xia En to pursue him. Meanwhile on Whitebeard's side, everyone in the Whitebeard pirates began to fear Xia En, and the move just now was completely engraved in their minds, trembling for it. Taking the opportunity to get all the members on board, Whitebeard was full of dignity. Golden Lion, take my family. Then decisively shouted to the fleeing Golden Lion. It is no longer realistic to rely on their ships to evacuate Marineford. How violent the sea is now, it is impossible to navigate the waves that are raised, and the Marines' combat power is still there, and there is no chance to evacuate. Only to let the Golden Lion take them, so Whitebeard didn't care so much in desperation, and just yelled. Newgate. Golden Lion was a little annoyed that he had escaped so far. But Whitebeard is one of the few friends who can talk. Taking a deep look at Whitebeard, he didn't refuse, and with a wave of his hand, the Moby Dick and several ships flew into the air. This is still due to the fact that I had been in contact with those ships during the battle, otherwise I really couldn't take them away. Golden Lion is still very straightforward. All the members of the Whitebeard pirates boarded the boat, and all of them were taken into the air. Some jumped on it too late, or held hands. In this way, it looks like a mess, but no matter what, there are means of evacuation. Marine will definitely stop it, I will stop it. Whitebeard hardly made a move in the back, but now seeing Marine's actions, he immediately stood up and made a gesture to jump down. As a result, Golden Lion's cursing voice just came. A beam of light passed directly, booming towards the ship in the middle of the Whitebeard pirate group. The person who made the move was naturally Xia En. The magic gun cannon uses explosive power to blow up the ship in the middle, leaving many people behind with one blow. Block. It was already too late for Whitebeard's position, but more than a dozen captains including Marco and Vista shouted loudly. Dozens of figures stand in front of the beam, haki, flames, guns. All kinds of methods poured out with all their strength to block Xia En's magical light-killing cannon. Having witnessed the shocking blow just now, plus they had all seen the power of Xia En's finger pistol, they didn't dare to hold back at all. However, when the power of the magic gun light-killing cannon came, the weakest few people couldn't stand it and flew upside down and hit the mast. Fortunately, all the people on board were their own people, and they were dragged so that they could barely fly out. But the captains in front of them were hit hard. Especially Vista, Joe's, and the rest of them, all the weapons they held in their hands were cracked and bled by the counter-shock force. When the flames of the violent explosion erupted behind the hull, everyone was overturned on the deck. Fortunately, this attack was finally blocked by the magic gun light-killing cannon, which did not affect the evacuation. It's a bit too much physical exertion, it's not worth it to stop them from evacuating. Why? Xia En frowned slightly, but did not launch a second attack to stop them from evacuating. On the main ship that was flying away, Whitebeard's face was gloomy, and he was about to jump down with a naginata in his hand. Enough. Newgate, look at your people. With Xia En here, can you break the queen by jumping alone? Golden Lion couldn't help but turned around and scolded. Why is this old guy so stubborn, and he still wants to break the air desperately? Now it is obvious that Xia En's strength has been truly demonstrated, and Golden Lion does not think that Whitebeard can be as strong as Xia En is now. Jumping down is just to die, it is better to evacuate with a dull head. Whitebeard was slightly taken aback, and Marco and the others quickly stopped him, and then gave up the idea of breaking up. The other side. Porosalino, Sakazuki, go after Blackbeard and those prisoners. Aokiji, you take some vice admiral to find Bullet in the sea, don't let him get away. Sengoku found that Blackbeard and the big criminals were missing, and immediately let Kizaru, Akainu, and Aokiji chase them. Wait until you turn around. The pirates were too fast, especially when Golden Lion used his ability to take Whitebeard and others away. Sengoku saw the scene of people being dragged and hanging, and the hull flying into the air, and felt that it was a bit late. And the ability to fly in the air other than Xia En has no effective means at all. After seeing Xia En's use of the magic light killing cannon was blocked by Marco and the others, he quickly asked Xia En, are you sure to keep Whitebeard? Xia En shook her head. I've played 2 games, and now I'm a bit exhausted. I can only try my best. 2 games. What do you mean? Sengoku, Garp, Granny He and others were a little surprised when they heard this. Didn't this just end a game? After rushing back from Xia En, he wounded Blackbeard's group and the escaped prisoners. In addition, he fought against the Red Earl, Golden Lion, and Bullet. Does that mean it's 2 games? Sengoku flashed his thoughts, but also knew that Xia En's overdigestion was the point. Xia En didn't say much either, she was going to say it again at the end, and she wanted to go after Whitebeard, Golden Lion and others directly. However at this time, the Marines on the ice suddenly exclaimed. Red hair pirates are coming. What? The vice admirals were surprised. The Whitebeard pirates just left, and now the red hair pirates are here again, wanting to take advantage of the big battle to hit the horse. Before the live broadcast, audiences from all over the world were already shocked. When they realized it, they only saw Marine sending out a team to chase down the impelled down prisoner. And the great ships flying away in the sky. Finally, there was a burst of cheers. No matter what, Marine won in the end. The pirates fled in embarrassment. Unexpectedly, at this time, the voice of another 4 emperors appeared in the live broadcast, and the scene immediately cooled down again, because of surprise. How come? The red hair pirates are here again. My god, it's not over yet. Couldn't today's war be over? The people who were looking forward to the end of the war looked up to the sky and howled. Even the Golden Lion and Whitebeard who escaped at the scene saw the red-haired Red Force staring at the surging waves and reaching the other side of the inner bay. The red-haired Shanks jumped off the ship first despite the strong hostility of the Marine soldiers, followed by a group of cadres, and walked towards the location where Xia En, Sengoku, Garp and others were. When they first came to the battlefield, Hongfa, Beckman and the others didn't have many surprised expressions, they just looked shocked at the exaggerated destruction scenes around them, and their faces looked extremely dignified. While they were on the road, and not far from Marineford, they could already see some amazing scenes. For example, a huge island fell from the sky, and the waves rolled over, making it almost impossible to drive. And, a terrifying giant that was hundreds of meters or even over 1,000 meters flew into the air and fell into the sea, and a surging blood red aura spurted past with indescribable destructive power. After going ashore, I was sure that those movements were caused by Xia En fighting with them. As a result, the group of people seemed a little heavy, and stopped not far from the Marine executives. Red hair. Sengoku and Garp stared at each other and stood up directly. Although I don't know the purpose of the redhead's arrival at this time, Marine, who has rested for a while, will not hesitate if he continues to fight. In the end, the red-haired Shanks shook his head slowly, and said calmly, I'm not here to fight. Aren't you looking for trouble at this time? Vice Admiral, the flying squirrel, sneered suddenly. He didn't believe the red hair's words at all, and put his hand on the handle of the knife. The current Marine is full of confidence. Because Xia En, who is stronger than the legend, is standing next to them. We're here to end this war. However, the red-haired Shanks and his group all looked at Xia En and said with complicated eyes. And, who are you? Do you know where this is? This is naval headquarters. All the Marines will not accept the idea that the pirates came to mediate. Sengoku, Granny Crane, and Garp were very calm, and wanted to see what kind of trouble the redhead and the whole group were going to make. As for stopping the war, the audience in front of the live broadcast was a little stunned. It was surprising that the redhead hadn't come to fight, and it was a bit of a fantasy to end the war. They are the pirate kings. Stop chasing Whitebeard, this battle, end it, Sengoku, Xia En. The red-haired sighed, not having a tough attitude at all, but said pleadingly. This almost pleading tone immediately surprised everyone, whether it was the live broadcast audience or the Marine soldiers present, the astonishment was fake. What's the situation? Is this the red hair of one of the 4 emperors? Shanks is Haki's man, why now? A redhead who has never bowed her head pleads. For a moment, everyone was a little confused. It's completely different from the red hair pirates I've seen before. Although under normal circumstances, people with red hair are very peaceful, but they also have a very tough and unambiguous attitude. It's completely different from now. Just when everyone was stunned and surprised. Seeing that Sengoku was silent, Shanks said to Xia En again. To save face, end the war. After finishing speaking, he glanced around, indicating that the casualties and the impact of destruction were already too high. The corner of Xia En's mouth twitched slightly. Good guy, fruit of face has started again. But I still said to Shanks, didn't I just tell you not to participate? Say this. Everyone was suddenly more confused. What did Xia En say in 1.1? Just told them not to participate. Was it before they came here? What's going on? I don't know. It looks like there's something else going on inside. The marine officers and soldiers muttered again, looking at Xia En curiously. Sengoku, Garp, Granny He and others also raised their eyebrows, and looked at Xia En curiously, with questioning eyes. Ending the war is good for everyone. Your public execution was not successful, but you also repelled so many enemies, which is enough to show your strength. And, Xia En, you first fought with the Beast's pirates and you didn't stop when you came to Marineford. You kept fighting, right? The consumption must be huge. Beckman said at this time that they are not stupid and can think of your situation. Red-haired Shanks also said immediately, it is not good for the world, this war must end. Speaking of this, the red hair pirates have shown their original integrity, and they will not easily get involved in the Marineford adventure, because they have a certain amount of care. But when everyone heard these words, it was like a thunderbolt above their heads, shocking and shocking. What did you hear? Beckman said. Xia En Vice Admiral had fought with beasts before they came back. Hiss. This is too. Some people don't even know what to say. That is to say, Xia En Vice Admiral's battle just now was not in its prime. He defeated the legendary pirates like Golden Lion and Bullet. I didn't hear it wrong, right? I thought Vice Admiral's strength was enough to be heaven-defying, but it seems we still didn't get it right. 0 Chapter 83,300% reward, absolutely invincible. Exceptionally promoted to the 4th Admiral. Advertise here. The audience in front of the live broadcast is now silent, shocked again and again. For Marine soldiers, including Sengoku, Garp and others, this news is very shocking. Who would have thought that Xia En had already stopped 100 beasts and the red hair pirates by himself before the Marineford battle? 2 of the 4 emperors. No wonder you said you played 2 games. Sengoku said to Xia En in disbelief. His eyes were shocked, astonished, and a little surprised. You boy. Garp's eyes widened in surprise, and he was about to say that such a dangerous move had better not be done. But thinking of Xia En's strength, he couldn't say anything. Doflamingo, Hancock, Hawkeye and others are not far away, listening to the whole conversation. Knowing that Xia En actually fought against the 4 emperors first, and then fought against the 3 legends in Marineford and won, they all swallowed their throats and were greatly shocked. He just finished fighting beasts and red hair, and then flew back directly. He has been fighting until now without a break in the middle. Doflamingo, Moria and others have their scalps numb, and it is hard to imagine how strong Xia En's current full strength will be. Both are summit wars. A proud figure like Hawkeye Mahawk couldn't help but sigh at this moment. The evildoers from the sky are not comparable to them at all. This physical strength and strength alone make the strong in the world feel ashamed and convinced. Even the Golden Lion, Whitebeard and others who retreated a little distance at this time, but also heard some voices, realized that their faces changed drastically, and they finally breathed a sigh of relief, full of frustration. It turned out that he fought 2 times. How weird is he? Marco, Beasta, Josie, Yizang and other captains all lost their courage to fight Xia En. With his potential, when we meet again, they probably won't be opponents. Golden Lion couldn't help cursing in front of him, and finally said fiercely, it's really pervert. It's more pervert than your Newgate, and Roger. 06 is more pervert than Luke. He thought that he couldn't break through Xia En's defense with all his strength, and he was already frustrated enough. He didn't expect that Xia En, who had been fighting for a long time, had already packed up Kaido and the red hair before arriving. Yes. Whitebeard looked at Marineford in the distance full of complexities, took a deep breath, and calmed down the shock in his heart. It's true that one generation is stronger than the next generation, there are more of them. At the same time, on site at Marineford, facing Beckman and the redhead's words that the battle must end, Xia En raised her brows and said, what if I insist on chasing them? At my speed, I can be sure to catch up with them even if they fly for 10 minutes. It's not arrogance, it's just that the defeated generals are talking nonsense in front of him, and he still has to. This attitude is okay. Seeing Xia En's unyielding attitude, the red-haired Shanks and Beckman's expressions changed slightly, and their hearts suddenly became tense. It is correct to guess that Xia En consumes a lot of physical strength, but it may not be possible to really deal with him. Just now it was all bluffing, but Xia En didn't give in and was tough, they really had nothing to do with him. Do it, who knows if this guy has anything left behind. But when it comes to this, the red-haired Shanks don't know what to say. If something goes wrong, under Xia En's eager eyes, she will strike at any time. Even Gabu, Lakiru, and Usopp in the rear clenched their weapons tightly. Although they didn't move, they couldn't help feeling nervous. If you really fight, if the situation is not right, you will run as hard as you can. Ahem. At this time, Sengoku coughed softly and stood up to break the embarrassment of the redhead group. The marshal made a sound, But Xia En was saving face, and slowly withdrew her gaze, and the aura that was about to erupt on her body also subsided accordingly. Red hair, because it's you, I'm giving you this face. But except Blackbeard and the prisoners. Sengoku shook his head slightly at Xia En first, and then said to the red-haired Shanks. Upon hearing this, Xia En knew that the war was about to officially cease, so she immediately lost interest and waited for the system to settle the reward. As expected, after Sengoku said something, he glanced at the live broadcast cameras set up in all directions, as well as the marine soldiers, and announced loudly, "The war is over." Sounds spread everywhere. It is a fact that war brings fear to the whole world. The marine officers and soldiers who have fought to this day felt relieved, put down their weapons and cheered, and rescued. Cleaning the battlefield also began. The red-haired group also breathed a sigh of relief. After looking at Xia En, they thanked the marine executives, and then quickly left without looking back. And Xia En looked at Marineford, which was completely destroyed, leaving only a few intact houses behind, and felt a little helpless. There is no place to rest quietly. However, Sengoku, Garp and others still smiled and wanted to talk to Xia En. The vice admirals were working hard on the battlefield, and they wanted to know more about Xia En's situation when he came back. Marineford, on the other hand, was broadcast live in front of the eyes of the whole world. As Sengoku's declaration of the end spreads across the world. After a brief silence, the whole world cheered. It's finally over. It's over. Don't worry about what will happen to the world. Marine is our force for good. The sea will be safer in the future. Great. Long live Marshal Sengoku. Long live Xia En Vice Admiral. The crowd cheered with joy at the announcement of the end of the war. Obviously, every commoner and noble who supported Marine was very excited. It's not just about ending the war. Although the public execution was unsuccessful and even rescued, Marine fully demonstrated his strength and prestige. Their righteous power can defeat those villain pirates. Today, they have seen the terrifying strength of Marine, and even more so, how powerful Xia En is, who can't hold back the legendary four emperors. With this astonishing deterrent power, one can imagine the sea in the future. I am afraid that apart from New World, pirates in other places dare not be presumptuous at all. Even the four emperors have their tails between their legs. In all of this, apart from Marine's own prestige and strength, the biggest contributor is Xia En. The whole world knows today that a strong man above the four emperors has appeared. Of course, the three admirals at this time were still chasing the impelled-down prisoner and Blackbeard. War is one thing, prisoners are another. Holy Land Mariajoy. The live broadcast of Naval Headquarters was broadcast throughout the main hall of Pangu City. On the towering void throne, the figure in the shadows saw the last, until the live broadcast was cut off, and let out a chuckle. Interesting young man. Marineford, a broken keep. Xia En was just about to take a rest on the spot when the system's beautiful notification sound finally sounded. Open black lens bracket ding, close black lens bracket. Participate in the Marineford battle and repel all kinds of powerful enemies. If the task is judged to be overfulfilled, get 300% of the original reward. Close black lens bracket. 300%. I exclaimed in my heart. Although the body was empty at this time and the physical strength was exhausted, but after the system's prompt, an unspeakable feeling surged up. Although the physical strength didn't recover directly, all the cells in the whole body were carnival. The mysterious power injected by the system is constantly increasing the upper limit. Open black lens bracket extreme training system close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket host. Xia En close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket comprehensive value. 18,000. Close black lens bracket. Skill. Magic penetration light cannon 1000%. Attack power. Planetary level. Close black lens bracket. Skill. Dancing Kongshu 980%. Dexterity. Planetary rank. Close black lens bracket. Skill. Susanoo 1100%. Defense. Planetary level. Attack power. Planetary level. Close black lens bracket. Skill. Realm King Fist 2000%. Consume stamina for all-round improvement. Close black lens bracket. Skill. Night Guy 800%. Attack power. Planetary level. Close black lens bracket. Skill. Ultra Instinct 800%. Almighty. Planetary rank. Close black lens bracket. This is the first time I see a question mark in the rating. But this improvement is really big. Xia En was so pleasantly surprised that if it wasn't for the inappropriate scene, she would even laugh out loud. After the legendary level has become a planetary level, doesn't it mean that I have broken through the upper limit of the pirate world and surpassed the combat power of this planet? Including Ultra Instinct, omnipotence means more than combat power, ha ha ha, but this time it is finally invincible. Seeing this attribute panel, Xia En felt overcast in her heart. Not to mention the pirates, but the resurrection of Rox and Roger, together with the 6 monsters from Mariajoy, I am afraid that it will not be a problem for me to win. But at this time, Xia En was not excited for long, because after the battle, every time he was exhausted, he needed to use sleep to supplement the exhausted physical strength. Looking at the panel, thinking that his strength had been greatly improved, he lay down on the ground and fell asleep. Hey, Xia En fell asleep again. Kizaru rushed back at some point, and saw Shaen who had fallen asleep at a glance. It's okay. After the big battle, he was exhausted and needs a good rest. Come here, quickly find a comfortable and quiet place for Shaen. Sengoku made arrangements with a big wave of his hand, so that the worried marine soldiers around him could relax. Go back to 10 minutes ago, when the Marineford War had not yet been declared over. In the Holy Land Mariajoy, 5 elders was followed by a group of soldiers in steel armor, walking towards the outer square with serious expressions. There, the commander-in-chief Kong is leading the combat team of the world government to join the 5 elders. They are ready to support Marineford at any time, and if necessary, they must ensure that the war cannot be lost and that Marine cannot be defeated by pirates. 5 elders, you want to go too? Kong frowned slightly, thinking that they should not take risks. Because just now, there was quite a lot of movement from Marineford. Impel down is broken. Do you think we won't know about it? Besides, we won't have any problem going there in person. The 5 elders were very calm, although dignified, but the battle in Marineford would not cause them chaos. With Garp and Sengoku here, if we still need our support, it means that the enemy is already strong enough to directly threaten Pangu City, and we must also take action. One of the 5 elders, top man Bochulashung, glanced at Kong indifferently, and stopped the corrupt guy with words. Just now, before the 5 elders came out, they felt a strong vibration and momentum from Marineford in the distance, which made them all want to personally support the battlefield. We just wait for the news. Quote. Kong could only nod his head. At this time, the communications soldiers in black suits have been answering the Marineford Intelligence 480. 5 elders. Marshal Kong. Xia En Vice Admiral is back, and he has repelled the strong men of the old era and the Whitebeard pirates. The crisis in Marineford is over. Hearing this, Kong and 5 elders were startled, and then smiled. Good. Then we don't need to prepare, and hand over the Marineford battle information. This was great news. After 5 elders heard about it, they ordered that the people assembled could disperse first. Afterwards, he took Kong to the room of power, and prepared to listen to the report from the CP department. In the spacious room, 6 people sat on the sofa and listened to the information sent by CP0. All of them raised their heads in surprise and listened carefully to the entire battle process of Marineford. That is to say, the movement just now was actually caused by him alone. Maka's Meizisheng was very surprised. I thought it was Garp's shot. Saint Satan also said inconceivably. The person who can create that kind of power, in their impression, is only Garp who can do it. The CPO nodded earnestly and said in affirmation, Xia En Vice Admiral fought Golden Lion, Red Earl, and Bullet alone, showing invincible strength, and Vice Admiral Garp did not fight. Afterwards, it even mentioned the amazing skills that Xia En had comprehended, the invincible defense that even the legendary pirates could not break through, and the laser that could not be dodged. The earth-shattering kick kicked the giant bullet into the air. I've heard Sengoku talk about this Xia En, but I didn't expect it to be such a monster. Kong was taken aback, and then his face was filled with excitement and relief. Marine has a successor, which means a lot to him, an old guy. Yes, Xia En can be called the strongest talent in Marine. I have made a lot of credits before, and now I have made great credits. We must reward them well. Having such a monstrous talent and comprehending all kinds of powerful skills, this is a talent that the world government cannot lose. This kind of powerful move is inferior to others. I really want to meet this young man. The 5 elders were very pleased and praised again and again. All the compliments made the reporting CPO ashamed to see how happy 5 elders was. Afterwards, the 5 reached a tacit agreement and ordered without hesitation, promote Vice Admiral Xia En to the 4th Admiral. The rest of the staff will reward themselves for their merits. The 4th Admiral. Yes, my subordinates will notify you immediately, but the 5th Elder, Xia En Vice Admiral has already fallen asleep after consuming too much. The CPO was taken aback, but considering Xia En's strength, it seems that there is nothing wrong with becoming the 4th Admiral. Chapter 84 I am going to meet Xia En. The Imperial Group forms an alliance with the old era. Advertise here. Excessive rest. It's okay, let's announce the decision first. 5 elders smiled and waved. So he immediately received the order and prepared documents to go to Marineford to promulgate. Kong also very much agrees with 5 elders' decision, and watched the ordering process with a smile, and when the CPO went out, he directly proposed, 5 elders, I think Xia En can not only become admiral, but also be directly appointed as the next marshal. The trainees are also good. 5 elders nodded without thinking about it. This proposal is fine. Xia En, as a new generation of top-level powerhouses, has a comprehension ability that is difficult for ordinary people to match. There is no problem in becoming the next Marine Marshal. Just get familiar with it properly and cultivate it. He had won the battle by himself, and he made a lot of contributions. He was also a top powerhouse, his strength was unquestionable, and with that comprehension, 5 elders had no reason to refuse. With such an excellent performance, as long as the background of the undercover investigation is clear, there is almost no problem with being appointed as the marshal. The world government will not miss such a talent. It's good to be promoted earlier, they don't want Xia En to become another Garp in the future. At this time, it was just confirmed that Xia En would be the marshal candidate, and Kong left happily. At this time, a phone call came into the power room. And the other party is the king behind the scenes that makes the five elders respectful, I am Shang. Yes, it turns out that Lord I am is watching the live broadcast, and you are also optimistic about that genius. Shepherd Peter Saint said in a respectful tone on the phone bug. Your attention is well done. He came to see me after he woke up. I am said very little, and hung up the phone after saying a few words calmly. But it is not difficult for the 6 people in power to hear Im's appreciation. Lord I am, you are so optimistic about Shaen. The 5 elders were all surprised. You have to know how many geniuses have appeared in the past 800 years. Except for those who have taken a hostile stance, there is almost no existence that can be seen by Mr. I am. And as the king of the world behind the scenes, the existence of Master I am is an absolute secret. 5 elders originally thought that I am would not be too moved, but they did not expect that I am not only optimistic, but even wanted to meet Shaen in person. It seems that we still underestimated him. To be able to defeat the Golden Lion Trio, does Shaen still have the potential to be worthy of Mr. Yim's meeting in person? This kind of genius may surpass all of us in the future. So Lord I am wants to absorb him into his command. Such a guy must be on our side. It is not difficult to imagine that besides strength, potential is also the focus that I am is optimistic about, and the 5 elders are particularly happy. When the dust settles after the war, coupled with Shaen's combat power, there will be fewer and fewer undercurrents affecting them. The summit war is over. Showcasing Kamui with Shaen, defeating the 3 pirate legends and forcing back all the pirates became the final key point. The Marines in Marineford were discussing excitedly while cleaning up the battlefield and rescuing the wounded. Because there were no major personnel conflicts after this battle, not many people were injured. On the other side, the Whitebeard pirates evacuated with the help of the Golden Lion. The whereabouts of Blackbeard's gang and the prisoners escaped from Impel Down are unknown, and they are still being tracked down by the 3 admirals. What was left was the bullet with a huge body, who was kicked away by Shaen's earth-shattering kick, and the old Red Earl who had almost consumed all his physical strength, and was also sent flying by the aftermath of Yi Gai. But to the surprise of the Marines, Bullet and the Red Earl were not found among the people who cleaned the battlefield and chased after them. And far away on an island on the edge of the New World, Bullet and the Red Earl were grabbed by Green Dragon's claws and thrown directly to the ground of the island. Then turned into a human form, tilted his head and looked at the 2 people on the ground, and said with a sneer, how about it, I can't die. The heir of the devil and the lonely red who were once famous in the sea are all in a miserable state at the moment, and they are all made like this by a rising star, which makes Kaido feel a little ridiculous. I can't die. Bullet looked down at his own bleeding wound, and couldn't help but feel palpitations. Almost. Really dead. Although it was said that Shaen kicked not his own body, the force was still on his own body. The destructive power knocked the entire inorganic giant into pieces, and within it, a bloody shock hit his body, and his body was torn apart. Now, there is a gap from the left chest to the lower abdomen, the pain is second to none, Bullet can even see something beating in the bloody place. It's so short of missing a heart. Kaido, why did you risk saving us from Admiral's pursuit? Taking a look, he used the haki on his body and the muscles to control Bullet, who was forced to stop the bleeding, and asked Kaido weakly enduring the pain. Not long ago, the 3 admirals searched separately, and Aokiji found him. Kaido appeared in time and took him away before he escaped. The Red Earl is not far from Bullet, but Akainu also found the trace, and was disrupted by Kaido during the pursuit. At this time, Lonely Red has an old body, with cracks all over her skin, and blood oozes out like a bloody man. He was shaken into this state by the aftermath of Yi Gai. In addition to his lack of physical strength, he stepped into the air and fell into the sea. Afterwards, Kaido, who disrupted Marine's pursuit, fished him up and brought him here. HMPH, of course I saved you because. Speaking of this, Kaido lifted a corner of the fur covering his body, and his face became grim, pointing to the gap on his body. That's right, he was kicked by Shaen Yi Gai before, and he couldn't even fully recover. Bullet was taken aback, he didn't expect that Kaido's injury was similar to his own. But apparently, much has recovered to the point where it doesn't affect the action. I learned his strength before you. Now Shaen is stronger than rocks. Don't you understand? The red hair and I couldn't stop them, but he repelled us, and even went to Marineford to defeat you. Kaido gritted his teeth and said, but also revealed his fear of Shaen. When Bullet and the Red Earl heard this, their expressions froze, and they said in horror, after fighting you, he fought us again. How is it possible? Doesn't he have an upper limit? The Red Earl couldn't help the shock in his eyes, even when he was young, he couldn't fight 2 consecutive battles between top powerhouses. This shows that Marineford's Shaen is not at his peak yet. Thinking of this, both of them felt that Shaen was too scary. That's right, at a young age, he has surpassed the 4 emperors, surpassed Whitebeard, you, Roger, Rocks, are the strongest I have ever seen. Marine is unstoppable with him, and I saved you because, whether it's us or others, we have to join forces to fight Marine. Kaido's fear of Shaen has already admitted in disguise that he is the strongest. And speaking of Marine, with the impact of today's battle, Marine will definitely attack New World. So, you mean? The Red Earl panted heavily, sat upright slowly, and asked. Together, You, Bullet, Legend and Sea Emperor. With bright eyes, Kaido told the two of his plans. Rescuing them from Admiral's pursuit is also because of their own strength. A powerhouse of Shaen's level is not something that ordinary powerhouses can face head-on. Hearing this, the eyes of the Red Earl and Bullet flickered brightly and darkly, looking deeply at Kaido. Rumor has it that Kaido was reckless, even committed suicide, and was caught alone by the enemy, which is not very smart. But now they know that this is a bold and cautious guy, no wonder he dares to obstruct Marine at this time, and saves them without fear of being chased by Xia En. After Kaido finished speaking, he stood still and looked at them with a smile, waiting for a decision. After thinking about it for a long time, Bullet was the first to nod. At this moment, it seems that joining forces is a good choice. This battle at Marineford completely shattered Bullet's pride and left a shadow in his heart. Xia En is too strong, so strong that it makes people feel a little desperate, so she is willing to break the idea of teaming up and no longer going alone. After the Red Earl glanced at him, he nodded silently, he also thought the same way. Very good. You guys are making a wise decision. Xia En has unique moves and terrifying power. After you recover from your injuries, we will find a way to defeat him. Kaido was very happy to see that the two were drawn into the camp so easily, and excitedly planned to speak out. However, Bullet and the Red Earl had plans at this time. Rehabilitation and action can be carried out together. Since you can't die, you can't waste time. Bullet didn't want to just sit around, despite being weak. Oh, you want to find a way to deal with him now? Kaido said unexpectedly, and at the same time looked at his hideous wound. I need to make a battleship. A battleship with real lethality. I'll go with you to Wano Kuni. Bullet gritted his teeth and said, thinking of the illusory giant in front of Xia En. No matter how hard he tried to break the defense, if there was a way to break his defense, then it would be a big step forward to defeat him. And Wano Kuni has the best materials in the world. Speaking of lethality, Kaido also narrowed his eyes and nodded irrefutably. It's just that with such injuries, it's really not good to cultivate first. Cough cough cough. The Red Earl coughed and stood up, then walked in another direction silently. Where are you going? Kaido frowned slightly, feeling why the old guy was so cold after agreeing to join forces. The old man went to find the fruit that can restore my youth. I will come to you afterward. The Red Earl said lightly, very confident in his own strength, or the peak strength of his youth. He thinks that he didn't break Xia En's defense. Apart from being strong enough, it must be because he just came out of Impel Down and was not in a good enough state to show his true abilities. HMPH, it really is the same as before, quite arrogant. Then I will completely perfect my army of capable users, even more. Kaido snorted, then turned into a dragon and took off with Bullet. The three of them made a unanimous decision to increase their own power, and then completely defeat Xia En. The other side, Blackbeard Teach led Van Oka, Lafitte and others, as well as big criminals such as Deppen, sneaked all the way, avoiding the pursuing Marine back and forth. While fleeing from Marine, I still have lingering fears. Damn Eagle Dog, I haven't given up after chasing him for so long, if I wasn't worried that Xia En would make a move. And this time, I didn't get the shock fruit either. Blackbeard's group stopped briefly on a small island, and they couldn't help cursing when they were resting. The plan almost succeeded. All of them were wiped out by Xia En. Captain, then Xia En really can't afford to mess with. Poison Q was trembling, and he pressed the medicine on his wound that couldn't stop bleeding, and said. Blackbeard glared at him, but couldn't say anything at the scene. Not just Poison Q, except for him and Shiryu Yuji, every 10 people were pierced with a blood hole by Zanjin and injured by the explosion. Moreover, the destructive power is so strong that Poison Q's means can't stop the bleeding immediately, it can only slow it down. Li Jiao, his attack cannot be recovered by ordinary means. Seeing that Blackbeard didn't speak, Poison Q continued to grimace. Dai Peng, the evil government king, Shiryu and others all had extremely ugly faces, but they had to admit that they were really afraid of Xia En. How can there be such a monster in this world? We are all defeated by his casual blow. The evil government king couldn't help trembling slightly when he thought of the scene where a group of them were bombarded. That guy is really young, and he has already reached such a high level of strength. The old woman De Peng was completely convinced, and even wanted to persuade them not to fight against Marine so easily. Unexpectedly, at this time, the vigilant Fan Oka suddenly made a sound. Captain, there is a situation. What's wrong? Blackbeard and the others immediately stood up when they heard the words, and they all looked a little frightened. It's Aokiji. He captured the world destroyer, Valdo. Van Oka brought the binoculars and took Blackbeard and the others to a high place to watch. I saw that there was a reef on the sea in the distance, and the sea was frozen. Aokiji, wearing the admiral coat, is freezing burned Valdo into ice again. He seems to be in a bad mood. After seeing it, Blackbeard noticed Aokiji's panting appearance instead, and his heart moved. There is no marine nearby, and even if they come here, it will not be so fast. If Aokiji and Waldo take down the Momo fruit and frozen fruit, they will get it. Captain, don't you want to? Fan Oka immediately asked as if he had seen a ghost. That's right, kill them. After Blackbeard put down the binoculars, his eyes were red, and he was ready to take a gamble. Are you crazy? Shiryu, The evil government king and others were taken aback. Chapter 85 The Whitebeard Alliance. Whitebeard is on the verge of death. Luo, I can cure it. Advertise here. Missing his biggest goal, shock fruit, Blackbeard has long been unwilling. Now it happens that he has the ability of frozen fruit, and there is another Momo fruit. Such a big temptation is enough to make him want to fight. Both are powerful fruit abilities, it doesn't matter which one it is, as long as you get it, speed up and leave immediately. It's just that other people still have some concerns, for fear of attracting more people from Marine. Blackbeard sneered and said, how can you improve without taking risks? Fight. It's just an admiral, let's do it together. With dark fruit here, as long as Garp, Shaen, and Sengoku are not coming, the Blackbeard pirates are enough to deal with it. Dai Peng, Shiryu and others looked at each other and could only nod. However at this time, Aokiji wasted a lot and was panting heavily, looking at Waldo who was frozen into World Destroyer. He shook his head. I didn't find bullet, but I bumped into you, so I have no choice but to ask you to continue freezing in the ice. Quote. He had already contacted the nearby warships to come to rescue him, and he was about to take a rest on the spot, but he didn't expect that Blackbeard's group would actually play black under the lights nearby, and decided to attack. In Summit War, the fastest escapers were Golden Lion and Whitebeard. Today, they have already left the sea area of the Triangle Current and came to the vicinity of East Blue. The people on several pirate ships have also gathered around Whitebeard. Among them, in addition to the Whitebeard pirates, Luffy, the Demon King Ivankov and other revolutionary troops, as well as the Sand Crocodile are all listed here. They boarded the pirate ship behind and were also taken away by Gold. Luffy and Ace were very happy to see their brothers reunited, and they were very happy. It wasn't until they got close to the Golden Lion that Luffy realized that he was facing a big enemy. It's just that the current Golden Lion has no interest in him, and his heart is still full of jealousy and fear of Shaen. Okay, Straw Hat, we are not enemies now. Everyone is gathered now, but I want to say that you all owe me a favor. Golden Lion unceremoniously stopped Luffy's fuss and said to everyone. As soon as this was said, there was no objection from the people present. Because the quick evacuation is all thanks to the Golden Lion, otherwise they would have no hope of escaping the Marines' pursuit with their boat on the rough sea. 630 really wants to thank you this time. Even Luffy nodded solemnly. Indeed, if it weren't for Lion Fruit's ability, we wouldn't be able to escape Shaen's pursuit. Ivankov nodded earnestly, this favor has to be recognized by himself. But when it came to Shaen, the eyes of everyone present couldn't help flickering, and many people still revealed deep fear. There are not a few people who are frightened. Newgate, your situation is not good. I can hide at a height of 10,000 meters. I think Shaen is unwilling to come looking for me, but what about you? At this moment, Golden Lion dug out 2 bottles of wine out of nowhere, gave Whitebeard 1 bottle, poured it down, and then said. Whitebeard closed his eyes and fell asleep all the way. In fact, the storm in his heart never stopped, and he was also thinking about the future. Although we rescued Ace and lost a lot, the whole world has seen Marine's current strength following the battle between you and Shaen. See section. The pirates of the whole world are being swooped by the Marine. Whitebeard puts the dangers of the situation right now. Now it's not a question of messing with Marine, but Marine will not let go of this opportunity to extinguish the era of great pirates. What 4 emperors, what big pirates have to face the strength of Marine? And Whitebeard is worried about his own family. When I am old, I may still have a chance to keep them safe in Shaen's hands, but after one time, I will definitely be useless. That young man is really too strong, even the current Whitebeard is not sure, so he can only say that he is barely guaranteed. You also know how strong Shaen is. She is so fierce and unreasonable. There hasn't been a monster like this in 1,000 years. Are you guys going to hide from Marine and live the rest of your life aggrieved? Don't forget, Shaen is only 20 years old. Golden Lion chuckled, pointed out some people's thoughts, and shattered their thoughts. Yeah, that guy is really powerful. Marine will definitely take the opportunity to crush the pirates. With the compression of the territory, you 4 emperors will definitely face them. At this time, the clown buggy in prison uniform came out from nowhere and said something. Whitebeard was slightly moved, glanced at the red-nosed intern who had been on Roger's ship, and rarely acquiesced to his statement. You are right. No sea emperor has any future. They will either be hunted down or cornered bit by bit, unless you disband on the spot. With a certain meaning in his eyes, Golden Lion said to everyone. The faces of the Whitebeard pirates changed, and Luffy, Sand Crocodile, and even Ivankov were very disturbed. Marine will not spare all hostile forces. What do you want? Whitebeard is well aware of the virtues of a Golden Lion, and it is nonsense to talk about hiding at an altitude of 10,000 meters. Alliance. I suggest you form an alliance against Marine. You Whitebeard, and the original Shichibukai, the Revolutionary Army, and even the Straw Hats. Golden Lion stated his purpose with a wild look in his eyes. There are 2 Shichibukai fighting forces here, as well as the Whitebeard pirates, and the Straw Hat boys have some strength, and the Revolutionary Army contacts the headquarters to form an alliance. It is a terrifying force capable of fighting against Marine, and even overthrowing the world government. Hearing this, everyone was very surprised, because no one really thought of forming an alliance just now. It has to be said that some people in the large fleet under Whitebeard's command were really moved, and they all looked at Whitebeard. As the alliance beating that Xia En. I agree. Luffy briefly thought about it, thinking of fighting side by side with Ace, he agreed directly. If the Straw Hat Boy agrees, we agree too, but first we need to contact the leader of the Revolutionary Army. If they don't agree, we are the only ones to join. Ivankov followed Luffy's decision. With the beginning, the latter becomes much simpler. Sand Crocodile knew how powerful Marine would become with Xia En, so he agreed immediately after taking a look at Luffy. Needless to say, Jinbei is on Luffy's side. All agree except Whitebeard, who remains silent. Whitebeard seemed to have guessed Golden Lion's plan long ago, but his arrogance drove him, and he still hesitated. Just as he was about to say something, his face suddenly flushed, and he spit out a mouthful of blood on the spot. Suddenly, the audience was shocked. Daddy! Whitebeard actually broke out in pain. The captains of Ace and Joe's were shocked, and Marco immediately spread the flame of the phoenix into Whitebeard's body to stabilize the injury. Father! You have a new injury. Marco discovers why the pain flares up. It was caused by a strong shock in Papa Whitebeard's body. It was Xia En's last laser explosion. Do you think the ship was not affected by the explosion and it was really blocked? Golden Lion Shiki looked at Whitebeard with some confusion, and said slowly. In fact, Whitebeard took all the impact of the explosion, otherwise the pirate ships behind would have been destroyed long ago. The others were all on the front, so they didn't notice Whitebeard's actions, only the Golden Lion who was flying the ship knew. It's okay, don't be nervous. Whitebeard wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and waved to everyone. But his closed eyelids and the dense sweat on his head all proved that Whitebeard suffered a new impact and caused an old injury to explode, enduring pain that no one else knew, and his condition was very poor. AGFF. Marco, quickly stabilize the old man's injury, and find a way to treat him. Ace hurriedly urged Marco. He is a ship's doctor and a phoenix, so he must have a solution. Unexpectedly, Marco lowered his head uncomfortably, and shook his head lightly. Father's body. He couldn't say anything after that. This attack by Xia En is the incentive, plus the fatigue after the battle, although you won't die immediately, but it's not far away. No, how is this possible? Dad, cheer up, Marco, there must be a way. There are so many people here. Revolutionary Army, what about you? Can you do anything? The members of the Whitebeard pirates were in a mess, burst into tears, and pleaded with the people around them. Golden Lion watched Whitebeard's breathing become disordered, and he didn't know what to do. What's more, losing Newgate's powerful strength will be a huge loss to contend with Marine in the future. But now that Whitebeard's situation is deteriorating, everyone has nothing to do. Only Whitebeard's face is gloomy and he is holding back, as if he wants to say something to Golden Lion. I can save. Suddenly, a person jumped onto the Moby Dick from the nearby boat and said loudly. Immediately, everyone's eyes were focused on the past, and Luffy even exclaimed, Traman. Can you save Uncle Whitebeard, please help. Trouble. Everyone present looked at the super rookie. The captain of the Heart Pirates. Seems to be a real doctor. I am an op fruit capable person. I can save Whitebeard's situation. Not only can I save him, but I can also restore him to his original state. But I have a condition. Facing so many people's earnest gazes, Trafalgar calmly made a request. Cough cough cough. What do you want? If there is hope, Whitebeard is not willing to collapse in the hospital bed. I want to join the alliance, be one of you, and help me against Doflamingo. Trafalgar Law had plans of his own. If you want to deal with Doflamingo, you have to worry about the relationship between Shichibukai and Marine. Maybe if you really act, you will encounter that monster Xia En. So the best way is to join them while they form an alliance, and ask the alliance to help you deal with Doflamingo. In this way, he can be confident in facing Marine Xia En. Doflamingo, Shichibukai, good boy, as long as you can save Newgate, we will agree to your terms. Golden Lion hardly thought about it, and granted Trafalgar Law's request on the spot. He just has to deal with a Shichibukai, which is nothing compared to saving Whitebeard, a top fighter. As long as you can save Dad, the Whitebeard pirates will do their best to help you. Don't say it's Shichibukai, we dare to attack Marineford again. Marco, Beasta, Josie, Yizang, Ace and other captains agreed immediately, and eagerly wanted to save Whitebeard. Amidst the voices of agreement, Trafalgar was overjoyed. With the help of a 4 Emperors pirate group, as long as you are careful not to provoke Xia En easily, then you will be fine. Prepare an operating room, except for Phoenix Marco, the others. No need to come in. As soon as it was said to be cured, Trafalgar Law immediately began to arrange to treat Whitebeard. After the summit war ended, the incident began to ferment around the world, and the successful rescue of Ace by the Whitebeard pirates did not cause any reputation loss to naval headquarters. Everyone understands that public executions are just an excuse for war. The result of the war is the most important thing, and that is Marine's victory. The 3 legendary pirates and the world's strongest pirate group, together with the red hair pirates who came later to beg for a truce, Marine's prestige was completely ignited. The silver-white form under Xia En Ultra Instinct and the red dragon form after Yi Gai's outbreak are also well remembered by the world. Marine Vice Admiral Xia En, he is the strongest man in the world. That's right, Whitebeard didn't dare to look back, he ran away. Not only that, the Golden Lion, the Lone Red, all of them are strong enemies against Pirate King Roger, and now they are also defeated by Xia En Vice Admiral. Yeah, it's too strong. The sense of security that Marine gives is really good. I saw a group of pirates walking around the town yesterday. Ha ha ha, where are the pirates in the four seas not afraid now? Even the New World, please calm down. That's right, besides Admiral, Naval Headquarters also has White Dragon Vice Admiral. The strongest person. All over the world, Marine and Xia En have become the focus of discussion among people in ugly countries. Because of the alternation of the two forms, everyone was deeply impressed, and word of mouth was known as the White Dragon Vice Admiral by the world. From the silver white Xia En and Shaen in Yi Gai's burst form, the world spontaneously imagined and won this title. And it is also well known by Marine soldiers, who feel that this title is really appropriate, so that in the future, Xia En will be called Beilong instead of calling him by his first name. What makes the pirates even more powerless is the actions of the people. I don't know where it started. A marine balance and the flag of the White Dragon were erected on various islands. Indicates that this is protected by the Marine White Dragon Vice Admiral. Wherever the flag of Xia En is hung, the pirates dare not approach at all, let alone invade. Often when they see this flag, they immediately turn around and stay away. No one went back to doubt or test Marine's bottom line, fighting on the top, Xia En completely established his image of strength and majesty. Even the four emperors dare not provoke an existence, and ordinary pirates are deeply afraid of even facing the flag. Chapter 86. Shaving evolved into teleportation, Marine executives were stunned. Advertise here. The response from all over the world was huge. Marine was also able to learn this information, and did not stop those allied countries from flying the Marine flag with a white dragon. And soon, the world government officially released several important news to the world. Newsbirds carry published newspapers and sprinkle them all over the world. First of all, the first thing is to increase the bounty for the accomplices who made trouble in Marineford and helped Whitebeard rescue Firefist Ace. Straw Hat Luffy, Hexia Jinbei, Revolutionary Army Ivankov, Sand Crocodile. None of these people were missed. For example, Luffy was increased to a reward of 300 million. It's those Straw Hat Luffy guys who made a fuss at Summit War. Marine will definitely not let them go. The bounty has been increased a lot. However, this announcement was just an appetizer. When they saw the news of the Second World Conscription, people all over the world were surprised. Marine actually wants to carry out the world conscription. This is to replenish troops to deal with pirates. The public is very clear about the purpose of Marine's conscription, and they know at a glance that this is to increase their strength and make troubles. This is very exciting news for those who hate pirates. However, more exciting news for Marine supporters all over the world is yet to come. Many people looked at this large newspaper, their expressions gradually became surprised. Aokiji Admiral pursues Impel down fugitive, Berndi Waldo, and executes him. Good. Great. That's a big villain. Yes, it is said that this guy will be destroyed whether he is a pirate or the world government. That's all right, I met Aokiji Admiral and executed him directly. The world destroyer's name is still very big, and every commoner was moved for a while by Marine's achievement. There is also news on the bulletin that Marine has stopped recruiting Shichibukai plans and White Dragon Vice Admiral was promoted in an extraordinary way. He is Admiral. Marine's 4th Admiral. OMG. White Dragon Vice Admiral is worthy of this Admiral, and should have been promoted long ago. It should be called White Dragon Admiral now. Countless people cheered for it for a while, and the whole world fell into an atmosphere of jubilation. Xia En's current prestige is beyond the sky after the Summit War, and becoming Admiral is what everyone expects. After seeing this news among the major forces, they were all taken aback. Marine's 5 announcements this time are all heavy. Marine's movements are so big. This step is too big. HMPH, the White Dragon Xia En was born out of nowhere, and Marine is already stronger than ever. The 4th Admiral, there is no precedent, and now even the Shichibukai have stopped recruiting, that is to say, except for the Empress and Joker, Marine is going to include all pirates in the scope of hostility. On a certain island, people from the underground forces watched the news, and while they were surprised, they wondered about the world government's intentions. Compared with the civilians all over the world, the pirates are even more frightened. They feel the thunder that is about to come, and they are panicked. And just like that, time ticked by as the world focused on Marine's announcement. 7 days later, in a renovated house in Marineford, Xia En opened her eyes and stood up refreshed. Slept for 7 days. The habit of sleeping after a fight really needs to be changed, otherwise it will be too long. Looking at the calendar on the wall, Xia En was a little surprised at her sleeping time this time. It took only 3 days to consume even more in a big battle before. This time, I don't know if it is because of the escalation of the battle, the physical strength has also increased a lot, and the sleep recovery time has also become longer. It is estimated that it has something to do with mental exhaustion, so Xia En didn't think too much about it. First immersed in the system panel. Ding, Marine 6 styles shaved and evolved into teleportation. Close black lens bracket. There is nothing else, Xia En focused on this one at a glance. After the previous few experiences, I got used to it a lot. Shaen is not too excited, but this skill is also very strong. Teleportation, similar to Kakarot's. Hey, it's only limited to the range of vision. Looking at the description, Shaen felt that it was already very powerful. With my current physique, and the long history is not comparable to ordinary people. Just like now, when looking at the sea through the window, you can even vaguely see the haze far away. That's where the gates of justice lie. Try. As soon as my heart moved, I only needed to activate it subconsciously, and Shaen disappeared in the same place in an instant. In less than half a second, the whole person appeared near the gate of justice. And teleportation will not cause energy fluctuations, breath or something. The only shortcoming is exactly the same as the original version, that is, the moment it appears in the position, there will be a slight vibration of the air, which is unavoidable. But how many people in this world can grasp this slight vibration? At the beginning, I didn't feel anything when I saw myself getting teleportation. It's a different feeling when using it. Although it's not like Kakarot that can sense the breath and ignore the space distance, but this kind of teleportation that appears directly so that the enemy has no reaction time is really cool. Shaen even subconsciously wants to continue trying, as long as she determines the position, where her eyes are, her figure will immediately appear in that position. Ever since, a figure on the sea shuttled back and forth, sometimes appearing in the west and sometimes in the east. Different from explosive movement, this is a brand new feeling, which makes Shaen very happy. The consumption is almost unbearable. If the teleportation is combined with the magic penetrating light killing cannon, it can achieve unexpected effects. I think I can easily hit the target without Ultra Instinct. Facing those strong men from the old era again, just relying on these two skills can easily crush the opponent. And before falling asleep, Shaen's strength has already reached an unimaginable planetary level, far exceeding the so-called legend. Now, no matter in terms of defense, attack, or speed, Shaen has truly reached the level of invincibility. However, just when Shaen used teleport to leave, it turned out that the room where he slept ushered in Marshal Sengoku, 3 admirals and a masked man in a white suit. Kizaru stepped forward and opened the door, and when everyone entered, they found 0.0132084065 Filu 132,190,100. Shaen is gone. Sengoku was shocked. There were guards outside, and I and the admirals also checked from time to see if Shaen had woken up. But now, without any movement, Shaen just disappeared. No, it was obvious that he still had his breath just now. Why did he disappear all of a sudden? Could it be someone with the ability to take away the sleepy Shaen? For a while, everyone panicked. Impossible, Marshal, with Shaen Admiral's strength, who can take him away silently? The CPO in the white suit was also surprised, but it seemed impossible after thinking about it carefully. Don't forget what time it is now. As soon as the 5 announcements come out, undercurrents are surging. Maybe someone really dares to do something to the sleeping Shaen. Sengoku spoke cautiously, while ordering the marine outside to send people to look for it immediately. But just after the order was issued, the summoner was shocked when he heard the words and was about to run away. Shaen suddenly appeared in the room. And it's the kind of silent, elusive appearance. Shaen. When everyone took a closer look, they immediately shouted in shock. What does this means? Silently, everyone didn't even feel the breath, Shaen appeared in front of him. If this is an attack, no one will be able to react. Mr. Sengoku, Mr. Kizaru, Aokiji. Shaen looked at them with a smile and said hello. You, why did you suddenly appear? And just now the breath disappeared. Kizaru couldn't help asking in surprise. Don't be nervous, I'm fine, just now I went out for a walk and used a new move. Shaen was in a good mood and said with a smile. Hearing this, the silent CPO at the side couldn't help being shocked. Good guy, I have comprehended a new move. And it is a move that is elusive. Sengoku and San Admiral were also very surprised, and at the same time asked happily, what kind of move is this time? I'm used to it. Every time Shaen can come up with some magical and powerful moves, it seems that there is nothing strange about appearing in front of me instantly. I was quite touched by this battle, so I learned a new way of movement from the 6th-style shaving, which I call teleportation. Shaen still didn't hide anything, and told about the new skills. Teleport. Everyone couldn't help being shocked, and their expressions were stunned. Now that I think about it, this is really different from other mobiles. It is very easy to achieve the effect of teleportation, and the shaving itself can reach the level where the vision cannot keep up, causing the effect of teleportation. 0. Seeking flowers 0. But whether it is shaving or other movements, it will cause movement, such as continuously stepping on the air. But just now, Shaen didn't even pick up the wind, didn't make any movement, and appeared in front of everyone in an instant. You must know that Sengoku, San Admiral and others are still at the door. If Shaen comes in directly from the door, unless he can shrink his body, he can enter the room without touching everyone. And Shaen obviously didn't have this kind of effect, it came directly across the space. It's unbelievable. I was also unbelievable at the beginning. I didn't expect to be able to do this. The teleportation technique is a real movement, and it can directly reach wherever the eyes look. Shaen explained it in this way, but to everyone's ears, they couldn't imagine what kind of magical skill it was. Wherever the eye can see can directly reach. Kizaru, Aokiji, and Akainu all looked at each other, both shocked and wry smiles in their hearts. Look, Shaen has a perverted comprehension again, and once again distanced himself from them. Sengoku was amazed again and again. Your comprehension of moves is really pervert, I thought you were kidnapped. Indeed, Shaen's comprehension ability is not unusual, but the move pervert is really unpredictable, which is too awesome. With teleportation, your strength will go a step further. With this trick in the next battle, none of those pirates will be able to escape. Good boy, be willing to bow down. Aokiji, Kizaru, and Akainu all sighed, and after a wry smile in their hearts, they were quite happy. The strength of Shaen is also the strength of their marine, there is nothing to be jealous of, everyone is used to the outrageous level. On the contrary, it was the first time that CP0 learned about it face to face. On the one hand, the marshal and the admirals were amazed, and on the other hand, they said it was outrageous. After a while, he bowed to Shaen and said, "Congratulations, Shaen Admiral has once again mastered powerful moves." Huh, what did you say? After Shaen heard the CPO's words, she was a little uncertain and asked in surprise. Did you hear me wrong? He said, Admiral, ha ha ha, you didn't know it when you just woke up, so I will officially announce it to you now. At this time, Sengoku smiled heartily and took out a piece of paper from his body. Shaen straightened her body in surprise, showing a lot of superficial skill. In view of Shaen's penultimate contribution and achievements during the Marineford War, the world government officially appointed Shaen as the 4th Admiral of Marine, and named you the most popular dragon among the people. That is to say, Shaen, you are now Marine's unprecedented 4th Admiral. Codename, White Dragon. After Sengoku finished speaking, he cheerfully handed over the letter of appointment to Shaen. When I wake up, I become Admiral. Shaen herself was very surprised, and took a look at the appointment letter. It says that it was awarded by the 5 elders himself, not through the appointment of the commander-in-chief of the army. And according to what I know about the world of pirates, there has never been a 4th admiral, which shows the sincerity of 5 elders this time and the importance they place on themselves. Unexpectedly, I was fortunate enough to be promoted exceptionally, and became the 4th admiral. Shaen still knows what to say in the scene. It is also a blessing in life to be promoted, and it is worth being happy. With your current strength and prestige, becoming admiral is inevitable, don't be like that bastard Garp. Sengoku was worried at the beginning that Shaen didn't want to be restricted by celestial dragons, but it seems that he is more worried now. Of course, Shaen will not refuse Admiral's position, and there is no need to refuse. Invincible strength is the greatest confidence. If you make yourself uncomfortable and go against yourself, then you won't be able to use celestial dragons or anything else. Immediately afterwards, CP0 stepped forward again, and respectfully said to Shaen, Shaen Admiral, 5 elders sent me to escort you to the Holy Land for an audience. Rao Sengoku does not have such a respectful attitude as CPO, but CPO knows that this is a legend of tearing giants with his hands, and his invincible strength is the reason for his respect. When to go? Shaen was not too surprised. To promote myself to Admiral, naturally I have to meet in person. You've just woken up, so there's no hurry. The CPO thought that Shaen didn't want to go immediately, so he said tactfully. Eat something, it won't be too late to get rid of this anger. The 3 of Kizaru are regular customers of Mariajoy, and said with ease. Forget it, since they want to see me, then go directly. Shaen rubbed her stomach and found that she really didn't have much appetite, so she went directly to 10. Chapter 87 Instantly kill Gellinger, Celestial Dragons collectively shake. Advertise here. Holy Land Mariajoy. I have to say that the scenery here is very spectacular, even looking at the splendid building of Pengu City is a different feeling. After arriving, Shaen also admired the scenery of Mariajoy. I haven't had half a year in total, and it's the first time for Mariajoy to come. Before, no one would dare to come to such a place without the strength, but now Shaen has no restraint at all. The CPO led the way ahead, and couldn't help sighing in his heart. The evil is the first time that the evil is in Mariajoy, so he is so relaxed and calm. This place can be described as a dragon's pond and a tiger's den, and those who have observation haki can feel a very powerful aura even if they pay a little attention. For the strong, entering such a place is not easy. And the two walked very fast. After entering the outer square of Pengu City in a short time, Shaen could already see many guys wearing celestial dragons costumes. There are quite a few celestial dragons here. Shaen couldn't help saying something softly. That's nature, Shaen Admiral, this is the Holy Land Mariajoy. The CPO is indeed very loyal to celestial dragons, and he speaks with honor. Unexpectedly, the two of them were just noticed by celestial dragons passing by or playing slaves in the square, and they came over with warm greetings. It's Shaen Admiral. What Shaen Admiral? How can you be so rude? Call him White Dragon Admiral. Yes, White Dragon Admiral. Hi White Dragon Admiral, I'm from Don Quixote family. White Dragon Admiral, we belong to the Topman family. White Dragon Admiral, we are the Roswald family. Celestial dragons introduced and greeted Shaen loudly, as if, 823, was familiar with Shaen. This stunned the CPOs on the side, who froze on the spot, not knowing whether to take Shaen and move on, or let his masters finish their greetings. White Dragon Admiral came to Mariajoy for the first time. If you want to play here, you can find us. As soon as the celestial dragons of the Don Quixote family came over, they were actually flattering. This made Xia En herself a little confused, thinking outside the park in her heart. Doesn't it mean that celestial dragons are arrogant and rude, and treat everyone other than celestial dragons as garbage? Xia En even saw the ugly, disgusting, snotty Roswald. St. Charles Rose just respectfully saluted the nobleman, saying that he wanted to make friends with Xia En or something. Everyone. Xia En didn't know how to respond to these superior people for a while. Too enthusiastic, too respectful to myself. It's different to completely write about the celestial dragons I know. As everyone knows, everything is actually because of Five Elders' death order. That is an extremely serious warning, and there is no room for refutation, and I have notified all celestial dragons' families. Anyone who offends Xia En will offend the Five Elders, and those who violate the order will be sentenced by the Knights of God and sentenced to death. With the authority of Five Elders, this notification is like an imperial decree. When individual celestial dragons inquire, the reply they get is, "You can also regard him as celestial dragons." What an honor is this! All pretty incredible for celestial dragons. But I also understand that this Xia En is not simple, so every celestial dragon's family strictly warned, so this scene happened today. Of course, the current Xia En doesn't know the reason yet. When surrounded by these enthusiastic celestial dragons, suddenly, Xia En's eyes narrowed, and she sensed the danger coming. Before the celestial dragons could react, they were overturned by a strong wind. At the same time, an orange-red illusion emerged from Xia En's body, transformed into a simple Susan shape outside the body. And the CPO didn't even have time to react, when he realized that a terrifying slash from the side was coming through the ground. This slash is right on Xia En's sequel Nengu. The terrifying sword energy was very domineering and came suddenly, but it was impossible to shake Xia En's Susanoo's defense. After the sword chi struck, it directly disintegrated into strength, tearing the floor, the billowing dust and the buildings torn apart by the strength all showed the strength of this sword. But Susanoo just didn't leave a trace. Xia En's expression was very flat, thinking that this is the attitude that celestial dragons should have, and her eyes also looked towards the direction where the slash was coming. A picture head wearing a red dress, with gray hair, and the shape of the hair and beard looks like a crescent moon. There was a slight smile on the corner of his mouth under the sunglasses, and the long sword in his hand hadn't been retracted yet. Figolando, Geringer. Xia En recognized him. The leader of the Knights of God. This slash is very strong, but since he has made a move, he will not be unresponsive. In the next second, Xia En disappeared directly in place, making Geringer's expression change. He found that he couldn't grasp Xia En's breath at all, and lost his perception in an instant. But when he wanted to move, his whole body froze, and the surrounding guards and men in black all looked like hell. Because at this time, Xia En pointed at Gellinger's head and said softly, "Move it, and your head will explode." Gellinger's eyes under the sunglasses at this time revealed a strong shock. I just wanted to test Xia En's strength, but I was directly countered in an instant. Who doesn't know that Xia En's fingers can emit super lasers, and Geringer dare not try it with his own head? For a moment, the audience was shocked. Even the overthrown celestial dragons didn't dare to say a word, and all of them opened their mouths wide and broke out in cold sweat. That lord is the leader of the Knights of the Gods. Galinger Saint. The strongest among celestial dragons holds the power of life and death among ordinary celestial dragons, and those under 5 elders are his best. But now, in the blink of an eye, I dare not even move. It was said that it was too late, but Gellinger's sword energy was actually defeated before the damage caused by it was over. I admit defeat. Admit defeat. This incomparably arrogant and extremely powerful old man immediately let go of his face and raised his hands high. Xia En smiled, put down her finger, and didn't bother with him too much, knowing that this was a tentative attack. Even if she didn't defend herself, she wouldn't be hitting a vital point. Then Gellinger turned around and looked at Xia En closely. Sure enough, you are a good-looking talent. Beilong Admiral is well deserved, no wonder the world calls you the strongest in the world. I just wanted to test your strength. Your defense and speed are too exaggerated. I might not even be able to block my attack, but you can't even shake it. Gellinger obviously had never spoken to anyone like this, and his tone was a bit awkward. Except for the shot, Celestial Dragons was stunned by his unprecedented attitude. It's not just the CPO and the usual Celestial Dragons here. There are several members of the Knights of God hidden behind Gellinger Saint. What speed is this? Is it teleportation? Saint Gellinger's slash can't even break through his defense. No, it didn't even shake, it reached behind Gellinger in an instant. This. For the powerhouses, the impact is more profound than others, and they discovered more shocking places because of their strength. First, the rumored orange-red defense was indestructible, and then there was an unresponsive movement. It didn't even cause any fluctuations, and Gellinger was held up by his fingers like this. You must know that the leader of the Knights of the Gods, Gellinger, who once fought in the Valley of the Gods, is extremely powerful. But the legendary combat power. Look at that Xia En again, not to mention resisting without damage, but also using teleportation to almost kill Gellinger in seconds. I kind of know why the 5 elders value him so much. It's just that the few of us present don't have the strength to confront him head-on. HMPH, it really is a genius of heaven. Several members of the Knights of God were amazed, but did not choose to step forward. And at this time, facing Gellinger's admission and praise, Xia En also smiled slightly, and complimented reciprocally. Your Excellency is absurd, your strength is stronger than those remnants of the old era. Although it is polite, but the words are true. Xia En resisted his knife with Susanoo, and immediately knew how strong his strength was. At least the Red Earl couldn't cut such destructive sword energy back then. I thought this was one of Mariajoy's confidence. The two were about to shake hands when hearty laughter came. Xia En Admiral, it seems that you have greeted the old guy Gellinger Street. The 5 elders appeared, all of them with smiles on their faces, and Saint Satan even said haha. 5 elders, be it the surrounding celestial dragons or the guards, all of them saluted respectfully. 5 elders. With a smile on her face, Xia En greeted her directly. Today is different from the past. Although I have the identity of Admiral, I feel that I still don't need to salute. 5 elders didn't care about this either, instead they strode forward and greeted them with a happy and enthusiastic look. The genius of our world government finally waited for you to arrive. Street. Topman Bachuli, the 5 elders with mustaches, smiled and made no secret of his admiration. The strong need to be respected, are you satisfied with our arrangement? Makas Majan, the bearded 5 elders pointed to the surrounding celestial dragons, showing Xia En the utmost respect. They used their majesty to restrain the arrogance of the celestial dragons present, and let everyone understand how high Xia En's status is. This is especially important for celestial dragons, and it is also to show sincerity with Xia En. Of course, he did it on his own. Now. Shame on you, Street. Geringer. Shepherd 10 Peter Street, the blonde 5 elders cast a sideways glance at Gellinger. Although Gellinger's status is very high, it would be bad if Xia En conflicted if he acted privately. Rumors are rumors after all, so it's understandable for me to try it out. I have to say that the strength of White Dragon Admiral is really amazing. Gellinger slapped a haha, and then praised again. Until now, he has never imagined how Xia En can teleport behind him without any fluctuation. At this time, the surrounding celestial dragons and everyone else were silent, swallowing their throats from time to time, screaming in their hearts an unprecedented scene. The 5 elders and the knights of the gods received Xia En so warmly and cordially. This attitude, how can you still maintain absolute respect? They are 5 elders. Simply. This scene, this conversation, with the majesty of the 5 elders, no one else will be confused when they see it. Those who didn't know thought it was the 6th star that had appeared. 5 elders, who are you? Xia En was also a little surprised that the 5 elders, who always paid attention to the status gap, could face themselves with this attitude. The enthusiasm was a little caught off guard. Let's talk as we go. Saint Sa Tan made a gesture of invitation, and then took the lead to walk into Pangu City. Xia En followed behind, and found that apart from the 5 elders, Gellinger of the Knights of God did not follow. Before taking 2 steps, the 5 elders said as they walked, as I said just now, the strong need to be respected, so don't think too much about it. We were also taken aback by your strength, we didn't expect the world government to have you as the strongest. Hearing this, Xia En's eyes narrowed slightly. 5 elders actually called themselves the strongest. Is this why Mariajoy valued himself? But it was really surprising that the arrogant and domineering celestial dragons changed their attitude. But soon, Azanburn v. Nasho Langsheng said, Sengoku is going to abdicate. He has already applied to Sora to step back behind the scenes and stay in the marine as the chief inspector. Therefore, we have unanimously decided that you will succeed the position of Marshal Marine. Isn't it too soon, 5 elders? Xia En stopped and pointed at herself in surprise. This promotion is too fast. 2.2 is full of calculations, and it has been less than half a year since first became a Marine. When I woke up, I was promoted from Vice Admiral to Admiral, and now I saw 5 elders and said that I succeeded the position of Marine Marshal and became the top leader. What? Don't you have confidence in yourself? We have great confidence in you. With your ability, Marine will definitely have no problem under your leadership. You are the biggest sign that threatens pirates now, don't underestimate yourself. You were not allowed to take over so soon. Sengoku is going to abdicate, so you have to take over. And this is Lord Im's decision. Each of the 5 elders spoke with more confidence than Shaen. The most important thing is the last sentence, this is Im's decision. Xia En laughed in her heart when she heard the words, she already understood. All the above is nonsense, IM is the point. It seems that I have been valued by IM. But Xia En still pretended not to understand, and said in surprise, what does Mr. IM mean? She is the brightest light in the world and the real master of the world. He is the creator of all and the true king. The great Imsane wants to see you, and we are taking you to meet her now. When the 5 elders mentioned IM, their tone became pious. Xia En feigned shock. Don't be too surprised, you're going to beat the Emma right away. Seeing this, 5 elders smiled, and led the way to the depths of Pangu City. Xia En followed unhurriedly, and was also very curious about IM. It seems that we will soon be able to get in touch with the real core secret of this world. Chapter 88 IM is a stunning queen. Conqueror's evolution open black lens bracket soul pressure close black lens bracket. Advertise here. Shaen naturally knows I am, and it can be said that besides the Straw Hat crew, the most profound impression of the pirate world is the mysterious king of celestial dragons. With curiosity, follow the 5 elders to the throne of the Sky Hall. Shaen discovered that someone was already sitting on the very high throne of the sky. In the high hat dress with 3 prongs, Shaen could vaguely see that I am had a normal physique. The person you want to meet has been brought here. The 5 elders looked up at I am above, kneeling and saluting respectfully. They didn't ask Shaen to salute too, it seemed that everything was left to I am to decide after bringing her here. However, I am was very indifferent to 5 elders and did not respond. It can be seen that the dark red double circle pupils in the outline of the shadow have not moved away from Shaen. Shaen also looked up to meet Im's gaze. The two stared at each other for half a minute, and then I am laughed out loud, which greatly surprised Shaen. Female. It's a very attractive female voice. At this time, I am on the throne of the sky had already stood up and walked down the steps. Boom boom boom. Slight footsteps echoed in the hall. 5 elders didn't even raise their heads, but lowered them lower. You are very bold. The charming Yujayan has an inexplicable sense of majesty, but she will not violate harmony at all. The voice reverberated in the hall. Shaen never expected that Im's voice was so unexpected. When she walked down, Shaen finally saw the whole picture of I am. The face under the high hat has some astonishingly perfect proportions, stunning and beautiful. Under the dark red double circles presented by those beautiful eyes, there is an indescribable soul stirring. The figure under the black robe is covered, but Shaen knows that it must be a near-perfect devil figure. She's so beautiful that she doesn't look like a beauty that can come out of the world, even compared to Hancock, the most beautiful pirate queen in the world. This is the most beautiful woman Shaen has ever seen, but these are not enough to make Shaen lose his composure. What makes him unimaginable is the huge contrast in his heart. The stunning beauty in front of me has lived for more than 800 years, one of the original 2006 people, Nerona Imson. The image has always been mysterious, and I even thought it was a half yin and half yang existence, because it was unexpected. As a result, Shaen is a little dazed now. You were surprised to see Mew. I am expressionless, but let out a chuckle. She is used to calling herself Mew. This appearance immediately made Shaen react immediately and shook her head slightly. The 5 elders said that you are the real king. I have been wondering what kind of existence it is, but I didn't expect it to be a beautiful beauty. Shaen doesn't just see the surface. As you get closer, you can feel the power of I am even more, and the huge power is contained in her beautiful and enchanting body. This kind of power surpasses everyone Shaen has ever seen. Even Garp's natural disaster can't compare. But the huge power I feel is different from other feelings, it is a darker, more blurred feeling that is difficult to describe correctly. Even if Shaen is now confident to beat her down, there is still a trace of solemnity in her heart. No wonder celestial dragons has been able to sit firmly on the throne of the king of the world for so many years, no one can shake the status of God. Let alone the 5 elders, the knights of the gods, this I am alone is invincible. Mew is the one who created this world, so he naturally has a perfect face. A sense of sight of an empress came over her face, and I am imperceptibly carried a sense of domineering. Then he stared at Shaen and said again, you are the first person who has not seen it through. You can go from recruit to peak in a short period of time, far surpassing the strength of the Emperor of the Sea, very good. You are the first one who can do this, the man who approached Mew. It's been so many years since a genius like you has appeared, you must have some secrets. As soon as this remark came out, Shaen squinted her eyes subconsciously, the corners of her mouth slightly raised, and she didn't answer, but looked at I am calmly. Interesting, no wonder Mew has taken a fancy to you at a glance. Who doesn't have any secrets? Mew doesn't care about this, but I'm curious how you comprehend more powerful moves from those moves. I am really smiling, her beautiful face is like a blooming flower, stunning and eye-catching. Shaen had already kept a serious guard against it in her heart, and she didn't seem to be affected by it. She said calmly, to me, those moves seem to tell me the truth. Every detail and every movement conveys the true meaning, so I can comprehend more powerful moves from them and master them. It simply means that Shaen's random nonsense is also expressing that you don't understand the world of evil geniuses. I am looked deeply at Shaen, his expression had already returned to calm, and after listening, he waved his hand and stretched out his cumbersome dress. With a blank face and a little domineering, he said, since you can understand it after reading it once, Nemu will teach you how to use Conqueror's haki. She could see that Shaen didn't have Conqueror's cooking spirit. This thing can still teach. Shaen couldn't help being puzzled. As we all know, Conqueror's haki is a body with fate and a strong will to become a king. Without these, it is impossible to awaken Conqueror's haki. How could I am be so determined to teach her the top power of the pirate world? Does she really have the means to teach it? However, with the strength of his own system, it may not be impossible to learn this. I was thinking in doubt, suddenly. An unimaginable sense of oppression erupted from I am not far in front of him. The momentum is as real as it is, as if the shady scene crushed it. The ferocious, majestic, and self-respecting will was impacting, and the induced air pressure even directly overturned the 5 elders who were half kneeling on the ground and did not dare to raise their heads. Shaen frowned slightly, his body glowed with orange-red light, and a small Susanoo was immediately outlined, resisting the crush of the shady scene. And in Im's dark red eyes, it seems that infinite pressure is tilted, even if it does not affect Shaen physically, but it is still oppressed by Im mentally. This caused the entire hall to shake, and the movement was very loud. What a strong Conqueror's haki, this is more advanced than the redhead. Shaen previously blocked Conqueror's haki from redhead Shanks with Susanoo. Even the man known as the strongest haki can't use Conquerors to exert mental pressure on Shaen, but now, Im can easily do it. However, such a powerful Conqueror's haki still failed to have a drastic impact on Shaen. This surprised Im, and gave a soft snort. Im has lived for so long, no matter what aspect he has cultivated to the ultimate level, Conqueror's haki is the most important thing. So there are almost no people who can resist her coercion. But Shaen didn't even sweat on her face, she was generally ignorant of coercion, and mental pressure seemed to have little effect on it. Mu was really surprised, you can resist Mu's power at a young age. Shaen, only 20 years old. Im couldn't help but be surprised. Fortunately, within the acceptable range. But Shaen said lightly, staring at Im who released Conqueror's haki. To put it bluntly, in fact, the coercion of this Conqueror's has far surpassed everyone I know. If it is released, even the red hair may not be able to completely withstand it. Conqueror's haki is physique and innate strength. You have the strength of invincible lower realms, so naturally you don't need to question your potential. I am going to start slowly describing how Conqueror's haki started. Like, become some kind of king. Shaen comes from another world, just like a 3-dimensional creature facing the teachings of a 2-dimensional creature, and doesn't feel much. But after Im finished describing, the system prompt came as scheduled. Ding, successfully reproduced Conqueror's haki. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Conqueror's haki has huge room for improvement and is undergoing evolution. Close black lens bracket. Hey, it really works. After all, it is a special power, and it cannot even be called a Conqueror's move. Shaen didn't feel that he could successfully reproduce it at first. But the system is the system, and it will never lose the chain. What will Conqueror's skill evolve into? Shaen couldn't help but hold expectations at this moment. At this time, the Conqueror's haki has been successfully reproduced, and then Shaen slowly closed her eyes, and began to mobilize the reproduction skills. When I opened my eyes again, a Conqueror's from myself surged out. The difference is that Shaen's Conqueror's seems to be silvery white, like a ray of light in the dark night. In the end, it was just a ray of light. Shaen was stunned for a moment, the Conqueror's haki he released seemed to have no power, even Susanoo couldn't extend it, and was directly blocked by Im's Conqueror's, completely unable to compete. The power is not as good as I am. Hey. You really learned. Im's dark red pupils revealed a rare surprise. She didn't expect that Shaen would actually use Conqueror's haki just after she finished telling the story. However, this power is completely out of sight, but no matter what, Shaen is really successful. But Shaen is not convinced. What the hell, if it's a remake, my Conqueror's haki shouldn't be much worse than I am. Just like when learning other skills, once Shaen learned it, she basically imitated the proficiency of other people. Is it because my body itself doesn't have any innate strength? The time traveler is not worthy of Conquerors. As soon as Shaen gritted her teeth, an absolutely powerful force burst out from her body. Eightfold Realm King Fist. This is the only Kaiwanquan strength that Shaen can maintain in normal use today. Start directly with an unconvinced attitude, and strengthen Conqueror's haki. Im was shocked when he saw it, he didn't expect Shaen to use such a move at all. The turbulent substantive momentum was like burning white flames, and the terrifying breath made the eyes of the 5 elders who stood up after being overturned tremble. Shaen's strength. It really is outrageous. Just this aura has already made the 5 elders startled, and they are not sure about it. Im gradually became dignified, but it seems that Shaen still couldn't use Conqueror's haki to resist his own Conquerors. Yes, Shaen blushed a little. With the increase of the Eightfold World King Fist, the Conqueror's haki surges. It can be said to be very powerful, but it cannot be compared with Im's shady 877 Conqueror's haki. The power is completely incomparable, let alone the Conqueror's haki go back. How terrifying the outbreak of Jia Wang Fist is, it reflects how unsatisfactory his Conqueror's is, which makes Shaen feel a little bit embarrassed. Everyone was amazed, even the 5 elders wanted to see how Shaen resisted with Conqueror's haki, the result can only be said to admire. Whether it is strong enough or not, it also reflects Shaen's elusive comprehension. Just describe and teach a bit. He can actually grasp it directly, what a genius. Shaen was a little discouraged, and immediately took back the Kaiwang Fist. Is it because I am a time traveler that I make Conqueror's haki not strong enough? Or is it because I am bad enough that Conquerors can't even get excited? It doesn't matter, it's all evolving anyway. Shaen comforted herself in her heart. However, at this time, Conqueror's haki, 5 elders, and Im actually relaxed a lot about Shaen's poor performance. There is no strong conquerors, even the way of white arrogance is not enough, it shows that Xia En itself does not have much ambition, and he does not have the will to become a king, so he will. Poor performance. This is undoubtedly a good thing for the five elders who are in power, and it is also more reassuring for Xia En. You seem very dissatisfied, but I want to say that your heaven-defying understanding is really unmatched in all ages. In surprise, also put away his conqueror's haki, not stingy with his praise, even admiration. Normally speaking, conquerors cannot be taught. Also explained the principle and the source of its birth. I didn't expect that Junin could really do it. 800 years ago, when strong men were born in large numbers, this was a fantasy, but now it is actually happening in front of me. It's not dissatisfaction, it's a realization. Xia En found a reason for her lack of interest in Conqueror's haki. Yes, it is because it is evolving, so its power is not very good. She is very curious about the fact that you can comprehend a new move ability from the move ability you learn every time. Im's own calm eyes lit up with curiosity. Professor Xia En opened Conqueror's haki, actually to see Xia En's heaven-defying comprehension. Just as she was about to ask, Xia En pretended to close her eyes, as if she had realized something. In fact, it was the system prompt that sounded again. Conqueror's haki has evolved into soul coercion. Close black lens bracket. This is the soul coercion skill of the Shinigami world.